Hello and welcome to the ISCA Stock Car Association. Man, we are excited to be here tonight. Been having a little bit of some troubles getting everything working out, but we are so happy to be here. We have a 16 car field going to be tackling the ISCA 600 miles, 400 laps. I mean, this is going to be a gauntlet, a marathon that these guys are going to have to take on this challenge. This is going to be a huge mountain to climb, and I got Mr. Big Al in the booth here to climb it with me. How you doing, Al?
Hey, Brian, I think I'm doing pretty good now. Don't know how I'm going to be doing here in about 390 laps or so. That's going to be the tail of the tape here as we get ready to get this thing started here in Charlotte. Green flag seems to have waved, and we are racing, Brian, if you can't believe it. Boogity, 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 as old Daryl would say.
Yeah, we didn't really have a chance to go run through the grid. We could do it really quickly right now. Dylan Alt is on the pole here. Malik Ray right now second place. Robbie Lyons in switching spots there with Noah Bitts moving up to third. So kind of hard to get through this grid when it's all changing.
Yeah, I think we'll just go ahead and roll that beautiful bean footage, Brian, as we're going to have plenty to talk about. This race is going to excite. I mean, I hope everybody's having a most gracious Sunday evening as we are green flagger racing here on this, what is it, the ISCA 600?
That is correct. And the ISCA 600, we're going to have 10 sets of tires here tonight. And also the fuel run's about 65 laps. Which is one thing that's different from the usual ISCA league race we have on Thursday and Saturdays is they usually have a 75% fuel tank. We will not have that tonight. It'll be the full fuel, so that could affect the handling here. As we see, I do believe Garrett Maines will be taking a trip into the on the grass there, or what you could say the AstroTurf.
Yeah, another thing too that's interesting to note, these drivers will not have any stage help. So this is this is going to be a straight shot 400 lap race. Cautions will be the only thing that stops it. So we're going to get green flag pit stops, and as this thing is starting to get rolling and our field is starting to settle down, we have a lot of racing to go. So Brian, we will eventually get to go and talk about some of these drivers that we got here in this 16-car field as the hours progress. But right now, let's just settle in here and watch these guys go around and around.
Sounds like a plan. Side-by-side action a little bit further back here. Garrett Maines battling with Dale Brooks. Brooks getting loose, 3 wide right now.
Yep. Yeah, Garrett Maines in that 31 car. I think this guy right here is probably one of the highest rated drivers that we do have in this 16-car field. Looks like he's been racing 6 years on the circuit. He is a current Coca-Cola 600 series driver, so or iRacing Coca-Cola series driver. So yeah, I think he will probably be one of the ones to watch here amongst others.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of guys to watch out there. I mean, a series usual, Gary Adamson's out there. Of course, Al Konslowski out there. So a lot of the regulars still out there and making their way out. Of course, another one it belongs to the Coke series. Malik Ray, he's right now up in second place. This is going to be a test of tires, I do believe. You know, the guys, this is a fixed setup. So, you really can't make adjustments to your car and make it better. You kind of just have to adjust your driving in order to save tire and save your resources.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is real racing right here, Brian. So, noting that these guys are running that full Monty on that fuel tank, which is definitely going to get the butt end of that car down a little bit, and that's going to help them out. But as that fuel dissipates, they're going to see that car is going to start to lift up a little bit and cause it to get a little bit squirrely. So, I am excited to just see how this thing runs and just once they get up to race pace and speed and everybody settles down, that's my favorite part.
Yeah, I definitely think even the fall off has started to hit these guys a little bit. I mean, these guys starting off with 30.2s, 30.1s, now up to the 30.5s, 30.6s. Also a little bit of a breaking news here. We're watching Christopher Tate. He's actually 5 laps down right now as Dylan Alt, the leader, starts to catch him. This is going to be kind of a scary situation, I think, for this field.
Yeah, it is, but that's just going to be what happens here as this thing gets, continues to go green flag racing. But another thing that's interesting to note that you said is everyone's running the same setup. So that's not going to allow drivers the ability, I guess, to change the setup, but they're more than likely going to have to change their driving style. Kind of levels out the playing field a little bit, don't you think there, Brian?
Yeah, it definitely does. And one thing that's really going to change throughout this race too is the track conditions. I mean, this is a long race. I'm sure that it's gonna get dark. I do believe we're late, afternoon. Right now the temperature on the track is 84 degrees, so kind of cool right now, and I think it's only going to get cooler.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially as that sun sets in that Carolina sky, it will definitely begin to get a little cooler. I believe we're showing ourselves right now with 6:03 in the sim time. This weather is perfect. I mean, we've got 73 degrees there with 84-degree track temperature. The winds looks like they're south out of the south at almost 4 miles an hour and partly cloudy skies. Yeah, that 40 car he has definitely got that 16 car in his sight. So definitely 16 car is going to have to make some tough decisions. Is he going to fight to stay on that lead lap, or is he just going to let these guys go by and try his hand at a lucky dog? But the problem is, once he lets one go by, here comes the rest of that field, and that's just not going to be conducive to him maintaining that race speed that he's going to want. Looks like Al Keselowski is going to go ahead and be sliding back there to the back. Probably just going to try to slip in that draft and stay safe, Brian, because I do believe one of the biggest things that you're going to have to do in this race is this is going to be a race of survival. I mean, just like that the big race yesterday in Kansas, this race right here is going to lend itself to the person that's available at the end of this thing.
Well, 100%. I mean, this is a long one here. And, I was even talking to Al Keselowski a little bit before the race, and he said that his game plan was just to kind of hang out. This is going to be a long one. Could see a caution come out, really change the landscape here. Also, when the green flag pit stops happen, I mean, that, if you're saving a little bit of fuel, maybe with your pit strategy. I mean, if you come up with a genius pit strategy here for this race, I mean, it could really pay dividends.
And that is definitely what you're going to have to do. Like the 40 car and the 7, they're running, but you have to pay into mind of that, because with no stage cautions, you're gonna have to preserve yourself. That lead car not doing himself any favors, because he doesn't get the advantage of saving fuel. The 7 car tucked in right behind him, that will actually play into his favor as this thing goes on.
Yeah, it definitely will. I mean, you see the 97 kind of has an interesting strategy here, trying to test out the lines, kind of run a little bit higher than the rest of these guys. I think one thing that we saw at Kansas yesterday, which is kind of similar to what we'll see here, is, these cars definitely benefit from the clean air, and I think that's what that 97 is trying to test out, to see what he can get away with. So we do have some side-by-side racing. Sean Conklin right now moving up to 6th place as Travis Rogers is going to fall back a couple spots. Justin Levine, I do believe, right there in the 11 car there. Trying to work his way up, too. See, a little bit of a confusion here with some of the numbers. They're not showing up as what they usually would, but it's all right. I mean, that's one thing you get when you have some different guys than what we're used to dealing with. But man, I definitely am excited for the rest of this race, and we got a lot of guys still challenging one another back here.
I think, Brian, as this thing goes on, we might not understand their numbers right now, but I believe in about 3.5 hours, probably going to be pretty with these guys. Speaking of which, that 16 car is not the only car that's fallen off of the lead lap. Looks like that 911 car is also going to be dropping back. That's the car of Mr. Molefield. So, and Robert Paddingale as well. So now this thing is starting to look more like a race. It's picking itself apart. And we're just really getting a good look at what's happening. But that 40 car, what about him? He is actually extending his lead. But Malik Gray has actually made it on up there. Looks like he's going to be taking that second place with Noah Bitts there, cozying up to third. So we got ourselves quite the spectacle going on. So I think it's just working itself out.
Oh, problems there for the 54, I do believe. Sean Conklin into the outside wall now, riding through the AstroTurf. He comes to a stop. No caution. Also, this is so early in this race, and we already see damage on some of these machines. I mean, look at the 72 of Travis Rogers. He's got some right front damage. So already some of these guys, trading some paint with that wall, and that's not what you want to do here early, especially this is a 600-mile race, and that is quite a bit of damage looking at it closely.
Yeah, Brian, and it is a 600-mile race, and it's just that I said now you're starting to see drivers are going to have to contend with two things. They're going to have to deal with that glare that they're going to get coming off of turn 3 and 4, and they're also going to have to deal with the fact that that sun is starting to set. So parts of the racetrack are actually going to be shaded and the other parts aren't. Now people will say, well, Big Al, what does that matter? But it actually does, because that racing surface is actually what is controlling the temperature, and that does affect the handling of these machines.
And this just in, Sean Conklin is out of the race car, so it looks like that is the first one that has I guess the Hunger Games as Dylan Ott trying to pull away here from Malik Ray. Seems like he's got a fast Burger King machine. And one thing about there being in the clean air, even though we did talk about the cons of being in the clean air, you burn more fuel. But one thing about it, though, he's probably burning less tire being up in the clean air.
Yeah, we got a great battle right now that's going on. Looks like it's between 9th and 10th. We got that 72 car and that 9 car battling each other. That 9 car just actually made his way. Jason Maines made his way around the 72. You had bought the 72 car up a little bit ago, but that was actually just a battle that was going on. But here comes Al Koslowski, though, into the frame as he too is going to come out. I don't know, Nolan, maybe the 72 car found himself into the wall. Maybe that affected his handling and speed, or maybe Al's just kicking it in the gear a little bit.
Could be. I mean, we're now 24 laps into this thing, so definitely the tires are probably getting worn out. I mean, lap times have fallen almost to a second off of what their fastest laps are. So definitely, he could be struggling because of that. I mean, if that 72 finds himself in clean air, I'm curious on how he'll be able to behave. When it comes to speed. One thing he's benefiting from right now is being in the draft of the 9, but it does look like he is struggling here as Al is catching him. Gotta love some of the paint schemes we're seeing out here tonight too. I mean, kind of looking at the 32 of Dale Brooks. I mean, love that. That's like a throwback Coca-Cola machine. I love, love that look of that car. And let everybody know, just in a couple hours, we're going to be telling everybody how to file their taxes for next year. And then we will be reviewing the Star Wars movies.
Yeah, that's right. And we're not just going to review those Star Wars movies in the sequential order. We're going to review them in the order that they actually came out. So I don't care what anybody thinks about that. That's just what we're doing.
You got to put your foot down somewhere.
I mean, I spent my whole life trying to figure out what I was going to stand for, and that's just what I think. That's where I'm going to make my decision.
That's what's most important for you, 100%. I mean, I get you, man. You got to stick to your guns here. Looking at the 14 of Brooks Durning, he's starting to get caught a little bit by Dale Brooks here.
Yeah, Brian, we've got like almost 2 races going on from the 40 back to the 31 car. There's a race, and then it almost seems that from the the 14 all the way back, there's a different race going on.
Yeah, there definitely is, and you know, the biggest mover I'd say right now has probably been Garrett Maines, the 31. He's been the one, you know, everybody has been saying is probably a shoe-in to win this thing. Of course, anything can happen that could change the results of this event, but he has been the biggest mover. He's up to 5th right now, and he's faster than about everybody in front of him. I do believe Robbie Lyon, though, matching his lap time that last time by.
Yeah, and interesting to note, the driver with the fastest lap time of the evening is actually not even on the track anymore. But the last person to put down the fastest lap right there would have been Justin Levine in that number 11 Chevrolet of his.
Yeah, we talked about it before. You know, you could turn the fastest lap. You could be able to hot lap all day long, but you know, this is a race of attrition. It's a race. It's a marathon. You know, when you're running a marathon, you don't, you know, run fast early. You know, you try to, you know, spread out your resources throughout. That way you don't, you know, because I mean, your tires are going to be almost like your endurance. I mean, of course, these guys are going to have to use their actual physical endurance too, just considering how long of a race this is. I would not be surprised to see these guys wore out and covered in sweat by the end of this race.
Yeah, absolutely. And the leader, though, he's just continuing to do what leaders do. But Malik Ray is actually closed that gap just a little bit now. He's got it down, it looks like just over a tenth of a second. So that should show something. But like you said, the guy that's on the move is definitely that 31 car, Mr. Maines. He has got that thing in the wind here today, right?
That he does. But Dylan Alt definitely running some quick laps. Last time by, you know, was 31.2. These guys still, I think that's almost a plateau on what we're going to see on fall off here. I mean, it seems like no one's fallen off any further than that, which is kind of interesting to see, just considering. I'm wondering, you know, could we, because we have such a long run that these guys are undertaking 65 laps on a fuel, you know, tank. I'm wondering, you know, how are these tires going to hold up? I'd be curious to see what the percentages look like after a fuel run. You know, could we even see, you know, a blowout or something like that? Someone who's burning it up a little bit too much. As Garrett Maines does make the pass on the 97 of Robbie Lyons. And he moves back to 5th. Oh, problems with Brooks Durning. He's around. Caution's out.
Caution is out, Brian. Interesting to note, you know, that now the caution is flying, but we are, what, 33 laps into this thing, 34? So definitely, you know, don't know if that was an issue of maybe tire wear.
Contact. No, that was a contact issue. Dale Brooks getting into the back end of Brooks Durning. I don't believe it was on purpose. I think Brooks just slowed up a lot.
Yeah, he looks like he just attempted to drive through him there. But, hey, the fortunate thing for the 34 car right there, he doesn't have to worry about anything. He didn't hit anything. All right, just a set of tires. Flat spotted at 4 good years. That's all he did. So that's going to work out pretty good.
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
now,
you know, it's probably an easy decision to take tires. Oh, yeah, he just definitely got him into his rear there. But the one thing about, you know, I would not take that decision lightly, taking tires. I mean, yeah, 10 sets of tires sounds like a lot. It definitely is a lot. But I mean, this is such a long race, and it's so easy to make a decision like, oh yeah, I'll use this set of tires now.
Well, you know,
go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I was just, you know, saying I'll use this set of tires now, but you know, you're paying for that early, not realizing that you're going to be paying for it later, actually.
Yeah, well, this isn't an opportunity where you can put scuffs on, but you can actually check your tire wear and make the decision whether to change the left sides, right sides, or just add fuel, you know. But it looks like that 4-tire stop is going to be the number one stop thing on the menu, and the only car that stayed out would be that 16 car. I think he's going to at least make an attempt. I mean, he was the one that benefited the most from that caution right there, because at least now he'll stay on the lead lap. Not sure why he opted not to pit.
Yeah, I was kind of curious there. He had to wait for the pace car. He was kind of stopped on the backstretch here on the exit of 2. But he has got the pace car in front of him. I mean, I would think he would have gotten the lucky dog.
Yeah, he absolutely will get the lucky dog, and he should also absolutely be able to pit for tires here on the next sequence.
Interesting development, though. Malik Ray able to win the race off of pit road.
And Malik had actually closed the gap quite a bit to our leaders, and he was stomping on the door right there. So now it'll be the race at the line to see what happens, and also if you look who is bringing up that third place position right now, that's going to make that even more exciting as well.
Well, with that, believe let's take a quick step away. We'll be right back.
There are moments that surprise and delight the mind and the senses. Introducing Sound Art, the world's first truly customizable, concealed, flat panel art speaker system. A revolutionary combination of incredible sound delivered from your most meaningful pictures. When art and technology intersect, there is a seamless blend of creativity and function.
I'm alive in the streetlight, pulling at the stars in the moonlight. Every time I feel you close.
With Sound Art, anyone can print their own artwork or pick from numerous licensed artwork that we have. The possibilities are limitless. Enjoy beautiful and amazing sound throughout your home. The entire surface of your artwork generates incredibly robust sound. Your art never sounded so good.
And we are back. Of course, we just had a caution. It was an accident between Dale Brooks and Brooks Dirting. So a little bit of contact of the Brooks nature there. Going to be a good race though from here. I mean, I think it'll be pretty green. These guys probably going to be loving to get that fresh set of rubber underneath them though, for sure.
Absolutely, Brian. Like I said, that caution probably couldn't have come at a better time for most of the guys that are actually on the track right now. So now that we got everything kind of settled in, looks like we got one car that is 4 laps down. That's going to be the 16 car Christopher Tate. We got one driver that is shown off the track. That is the 654 car of Sean McConklin, and everyone else is on the lead lap. The lights are off on the pace car, which means we will resume green flag racing here. For those of you just joining us, we are on lap 37 of 400 scheduled and just had our first caution. So if that's any indication, Brian, of what the racing that we've got yet to come, I think we are definitely for a treat.
Oh, we're definitely in for a treat right now. I mean, definitely going to kick up the intensity now these guys have gotten the fresher tires. Maybe guys fell back a little further than they wanted to on that last run. Maybe trying to, maybe try something different. Experiment with being a little more aggressive. Could be the case here. I don't know. Could be some guys maybe dialing it back, just considering they might not have liked what they saw when it came to tire wear. Here's the pace car dipping down pit road, green flag, soon to wave back in the air. Is Malik Ray going to control the restart here?
Yep,
there he goes.
Wasted no time to get that 7 car rolling in here. That number 4, that's a Ford right there is what I meant to say. And we are green flag racing again. The drivers now trying to find their way around this here track, this beautiful track here in Charlotte. Sun is going down. We are
problems with Noah Bitts.
And the caution flag does not wave. Yep, caution is out for the second time. Noah Bitts actually making contact with that inside wall. That is not going to do good. As
he takes a toe.
To take a toe, Brian. I think he might be leaving the building.
Yeah, I don't think that was of any fault of anybody out there. Looks like he just got loose. He got loose out of 2. Boom, right into the inside wall.
Cold tires at Charlotte.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what it was. I mean, and we'll start with the first Star Wars film now. Was that Return of the Jedi? Is that what it is? I can't.
The actual first Star Wars was Star Wars, wasn't it?
I don't know. I haven't watched those films in a long time.
See, I thought
I'm not the best
you-
one to review it.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened, Brian. Looks like Noah just getting loose there coming out of turn 2 and finding that inside wall there. Nice, hard to lick. Not know what that's going to mean for the rest of his day, but definitely he can't be feeling too good about that. But that's what happens, man. That's exactly what it happens when you're on cold tires here.
Yeah, for sure. And also you got the likes of Garrett Maines on top, on the top, battling right there with you, and that puts a lot of pressure on a driver, to have to battle with a pro. They're kind of, they're intimidating. I know if I was on the racetrack and I had to, be next to him, I might would make a mistake too.
Yep, looks like we're showing Robert Pattingill on pit road.
This would be a good opportunity for a lot of these guys that did get a little bit of damage to repair that. The 72 kind of comes to mind. I do believe he's
Yeah, Travis Larkin.
taking that opportunity. Yep.
Absolutely taking the opportunity to get some damage fixed.
Oh, I don't even think he's in his box here. He missed his box, so that's going to be some time that he's going to be missing there when it comes to getting some of that repaired. But my thoughts were earlier. Oh, because I thought this was going to be a little bit of a longer green run. I didn't expect that caution to come out so quickly. I was wanting to talk about how Dylan Alt, he's going to be in a precarious situation right now, being behind Malik Ray. We haven't really. He's been leading for the majority of the race so far. I'm curious, is he going to be able to? How's he going to handle in the dirty air? Has he accounted for that?
Well, we're getting ready to find out, Brian. But it was interesting though that how that actually went down there for Noah Bitts, just watching that. And I hope that that's not gonna to be indicative of what we're gonna see later on here today, because these tires, when they're cold, they can cause the car to be a little bit of a handful.
And I'm even wondering. I know you kind of mentioned it before about some parts of the track being shaded. Could that have played into it?
Yeah, I don't know, but Christopher Tate getting being the recipient of the lucky dog again, which is going to allow him to now just be 3 laps down.
Yeah, he's gonna love that. So I mean, he wants more of that. Keep on spinning, guys.
Yeah, like earlier we were saying that the caution there couldn't have came at a better time for him, because he was actually in danger of going a lap down for quite a while. He had those guys on his buttocks, as Forrest Gump would say.
I think there could be something to everything though, considering while I was talking about the shaded parts of the racetrack, on that exit of 2, where he lost it, where Noah Bitts lost it, is sunshine, and right before that is shade. I think that could be playing a role here.
You know what? Maybe we'll be able to dial up Noah Bitts and actually ask him for ask him firsthand what actually occurred.
Yeah, if we have that opportunity, I just don't want to catch him and he's cursing or nothing. But I mean, yeah, if he's available for comment, we definitely wouldn't mind talking to him. I do believe the pace car lights are soon to go out. Okay, we got him in the booth here. Noah Bitts, I know you probably are pretty disappointed after what just happened there. Can you walk us through what did actually take place?
Yeah, it just snapped. I don't know. I wasn't ready for it. I thought these cars were tight on cold tires, so I was pushing it a little bit harder up off the corner when I thought I was gonna be. I don't know. I was trying to give Garrett room there too, and I knew he was gonna get a good run on the outside, so I was just on it, and I didn't expect it to get loose like that. And there's not really much else I could do other than lock it down and try and avoid the wall, but that didn't happen. So my day's done early.
You hate to, I mean, definitely unfortunate, man, to see your day done early like that. I mean, do you think it had anything to do with maybe the conditions of the track, the shading? Because I was one thing that I noted was in the corner it was heavily shaded, but on the exit of 2, it seems like it goes back to being a little bit more sunshine.
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of a weird, like right when it transitions and you start to straighten the wheel back out. These cars like to step out and get a little snappy sometimes, and whether or not it had to do with the shade or not, I'm not sure. I just didn't have I don't have a lot of practice with this car here or on this fixed setup, and should have been a little bit more careful, I guess.
Well, we definitely appreciate your time and talking with us, and hate to have that happen to you. We're getting ready to go back green. Anybody you want to shout out real quick before we go back?
Yeah, everyone who put this race on and everyone who signed up. I hope it goes good for everybody else and we get some good racing and a nice finish out of it.
All right. Well, we appreciate your time, Noah. Look forward to seeing you on either Thursday or Saturday.
All right, good.
All right, there, Brian. We are back to green flag racing, and that 7 car wasted no time. Malik Ray wasted no time once that green flag to taking that restart. So now he's going to go ahead and get that thing running. But unfortunately for him, he's got that 31 car right now, filling up that rearview mirror of him, and I think that's probably going to be a daunting sight for him, at least for the next couple of laps.
I'll tell you who's not very daunted right now is Justin Levine, as he takes over third place from Dylan Alt. Alt has led the majority of this race so far, and now no longer in the lead. He is now back in fourth as Levine pounces on his opportunity here.
Yeah, this is one of those tracks too, Brian, where drivers actually are going to have to get familiar with riding down them, not only on the different track surfaces, but that dirty air. Because once you're in traffic, the buffeting that occurs can cause these cars to kind of behave in mysterious ways. You'll see that, especially once those drivers are coming out of turn 4 right there.
Yeah, turn 4 definitely is a tricky place at Charlotte. I mean, known for. I mean, there's been time and time again. I know whenever I race the Gen 6, I've never raced this car at this track, but I know that exit at turn 4 can be quite scary. Considering a lot of times it ends up you're riding through that AstroTurf. Luckily, it is AstroTurf and not grass. Otherwise, you might have a damaged race car. So I tell you, on that exit at turn 4, though, I mean, it's so dangerous. I mean. And the thing is, you almost when you mess up, you almost seem like you're taking the Charlotte Roval.
Yeah, absolutely.
As the race is single file out pretty much so far, Dale Brooks trying to challenge Robbie Lyon.
Yeah, Robbie Lyon's definitely been doing everything he could to try to hold that position, but I'm not sure if that's actually going to work out for him or not. I think he might find himself falling victim to that pass.
Yeah, the 9 car right there in front, Jason Maines. Oh, Dale Brooks gets loose, and he locks it down. It does not hit the wall. Very nice save. That is what I do believe Noah Bitts wanted to happen.
Yeah, but unfortunately for that 32 car, that caution flag's not going to wave. So now he's going to have to do everything he can to try to get that thing. Oh, he just lost control of it, but he's got to do everything in his power down to get that car back up there on the lead lap and hope that he didn't wear those tires out too much.
That is picture perfect on what just happened in Noah Bitts, but I think Dale Brooks just handled it a little bit better. Man, so just goes to show you how on edge these race cars are. So a lot of these guys going to be struggling with that, I do believe, all night long.
Well, Charlotte's always been a track that drivers have to be mentally focused because this track drives fast, but you still have to be alert and aware. And there's lots of places that'll get you. You got the back stretch, the front stretch, turns 1 and 2, out of 2, 3 and 4, out of 3. You know what I mean? It's a tricky one.
It really is, and this mile and a half is a very challenging one. I mean, you look at the shape of that front stretch. Very easy when you're side by side. That you go a little bit higher, trying to build momentum through this front stretch. You can hit that wall. Just the way it's shaped, it juts out almost at you.
Yeah, a lot of racetracks have also tried to duplicate this unique shaped track, but me being a Carolina boy, I just say, hey, there's no duplication for this creation. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, this is Charlotte, I'd say, is the hub of NASCAR. You know what I mean? So you can't replace Charlotte.
It's the mecca for NASCAR racing. I mean, you're absolutely correct.
Justin Levine, though, starting to put some pressure here on Garrett Maines. These guys are running incredibly close to that white and blue line there. I'm wondering, if you stick that tire down there, is it helping these guys turn, or is it causing these guys to have issues?
And another thing to note, that it seems like once the guy gets in the lead, he's actually been able to keep that lead. We actually, even when Dylan had the lead, he really didn't get challenged. Now Malik's out front. He has Gary right on his back, but he's still yet to beat Garrett. I mean, but he's still yet to be challenged as well. Or maybe these guys are just doing what we said. Maybe they're just riding in that draft, conserving fuel, saving tires.
Yeah, it could very well be the case. But I think there's something to that. I think it's just so challenging to pass, but just because of the hitting that wall of air when you try to make that pass. And if that guy's protecting that bottom, what opportunity do you have? I mean, it doesn't seem like, at Kansas at least, you had that opportunity. You could try to make something work on the top. It just seems like that's not something that's possible here so far.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. In order to pass at Charlotte, you have to have that momentum coming at least out of 2, or coming out of 4. Those are the best way to get a run down one of those 2 straights. As we actually see just that going on, drivers now starting to utilize more and more of this track. Now I don't know what that's about. Maybe it's just getting cooler here as the sun does continue to set here on us, Brian.
Yeah, this track is very unique when it comes to the way you have to run it. I mean, it's almost, you say there's 4 turns, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, but I think there's even more than that, just considering the way that the front stretch is. You have to really take a interesting line through there. You see the guys kind of on exit in 4 go higher to the wall, then they start going down to the white line again, just because of the shape of this front stretch. It can be kind of tricky to match that for sure. But as you can see, it's starting to get a little bit more of an orange tint to it out there as the sun's starting to slowly go down. And with that, the track has cooled down. We were looking at it was 84 degrees before, now 81. And that definitely is going to have an effect on these cars. I'm still noticing this interesting line there from the 97, Robbie Lyons. He keeps running closer to the wall. I mean, I'm wondering why he's doing that. Interesting. I mean, he's experimenting, and it seems like he's building them some good momentum on the exits. Maybe he ran too much Kansas this week. Just got it stuck in his mind. I got to run on the wall.
It's kind of interesting that he is actually up there on that line, and he is actually able to maintain race pace. But how much is he actually losing by that excess movement? Because you really don't want it to have a lot of unnecessary movement here of your wheel, because that's just going to cause your tires to wear out, relatively fast. Now, drivers should have enough fuel. And tire data right now. Since they were actually able to run that first 34 laps. But yeah, I don't know. It'd be interesting to see what he actually yields once he actually gets done there and he looks at his tires.
Yeah, I mean, that could be his strategy exactly, trying to work on those, work on the high side. Maybe it does save tire. Usually it doesn't, running the high side. Usually that burns it up more. But I just did see Garrett Maines trying to challenge here the 7 car. Tried to take that top line himself, but lost a lot of time because of it. You see Dylan Alt, he is right there on Justin Levine's back door, trying to make something happen. It looks like Levine just going to let him go. I don't know if I'd want to let anybody go with this track. I don't care how slow I am. I'm going to be all in the way. I'm trying to win that money.
But that's a strategy as well, though, Brian. Some people are going to get out of the way. Some people are going to stay in the way. I've learned that in life as well.
Well, I mean, we haven't really talked about it too much. Definitely going to be that's what kind of makes this race even more intense for a lot of these drivers. I mean, there's money on the line. I mean, $300 to the top 3, split up, divvied up between the top 3. And, I mean, I want to win that money. I'd love to come home with that money tonight. And I think a lot of these drivers are, asking themselves, what am I willing to do to come home with that money?
Yeah, money's money at this point. These guys are actually, you're paying for this, right? So at some point, here's that big Al saying you're going to have to risk it for the biscuit. But it's a little bit early for that. So I think, the whole point right now is just tuck it in there and just enjoy the road trip. Just we're kind of on a 600-mile road trip, if you will.
We definitely are, and we haven't even barely scratched the surface now on lap 62 of this 400-lap event.
Yeah, so now let's see if once these tires start to wear a little bit, if that causes some of these drivers to maybe lose control. Now, we have seen drivers now start to kind of fan out as there is a little bit of a disparity. I think it breaks off at the top 7 are running together. You got a considerable gap. Then you got Keselowski, who's in 8th place. Then you got a considerable gap. You got a couple more cars. So they're definitely starting to get their spacing, if you will, and that'll give us an indication of how long it'll take if some of these guys were to be actually caught by the leaders and go a lap down.
We do have a battle going on right now for 6th place here. Robbie Lyon and Brooks Dirting.
Yeah, those two have been actually battling back and forth. And I think it's more the fact that Dirting is taking that 97 car's taking a different line. Lyons is taking his line is different than Dirting, so it seems like he closes the gap, but then he loses the gap again.
Yeah, I think that that 97's been running, like we saw running the top lane, and I think that was enough for Robbie Lyons to be able to catch up here, Brooks Dirting to be able to catch up here and make that pass. Robbie Lyons though having a little bit of a blinking issue. You definitely don't want to have that this early in this event. As Dylan Alt starting to try to catch up here, back up to Garrett Baines. Garrett Baines trying to catch up here to Malik Ray. Top 3 not too far apart from one another. Justin Levine, of course, is following back, so I think that's one of the guys maybe having a little bit of problems when it comes to the tire wear, could be. I don't know, but last time by, he was actually a 10th or more faster than the top 3, which is interesting. Maybe Justin Levine has a little bit of a strategy in mind when it comes to saving equipment.
And I think that is going to be the key for this here contention, this competition today, the contest, is going to be saving equipment. Like you said earlier on, when drivers came in to get that first set of tires, you only got 10. Well, you had to pull them off. I always wish they would let us save a set of scuffs.
Oh, yeah. No, I agree totally. I wish that was something that you could do. 100%. That would be so cool, and it would be like, that's what in the real NASCAR, you have that set of scuffs. Maybe you only have 5 or 10 laps on that set of tires. You just put that in the pits and be waiting on it whenever you need it. So unfortunately that is not the case. But we are about 32 laps into this run right now, so tire wear is definitely going to be very apparent for these drivers. Of course, the fuel run, as we mentioned before, 65 laps. So about halfway in this run so far.
And this was the point that we actually had our caution, our very first caution, when we had about this many laps on the tires. I got loose. A lot of factors coming into play at this time of the day that are going to make it even more interesting, because let's talk about this. Let's think about the dynamics. We've got tires that got plus 25 laps on them. We got a fuel tank that's almost half of its capacity now. So that's going to definitely start to change the way the car is, because you got that, less weight on it. So these things are all going to be playing into account here, Brian. And unfortunately, you have minimum adjustments you can make in that car while you're physically on the track. So you just got to do the best you can.
And one thing I don't even think we've discussed at all, because we have had hardly any time here at Charlotte in this next-gen car. We haven't really seen what it looks like. And what I'm seeing right now from, I'm looking at the cockpit camera here at Garrett Baines, and I'm actually seeing shifting. These guys are shifting in the corners. Yeah, he downshifts on the entry, lets it roll a little bit, gets back. I think that as these tires wear, we're going to be seeing more and more of that, because you get bogged down in the middle of the corner.
Yeah, did you see how much his stern wheel was actually moving too, as well as when he came out of that turn 2?
Very interesting to see how this is all working here. Definitely, let's take a moment. Let's take like 5 minutes and let's hang out and watch Garrett Baines do his work. we are back. We were just while we were also watching these guys how they were shifting in the cockpit camera. We were looking at Malik Ray and noticed that he was not shifting. Garrett Maines, of course, on and off when it comes to the shifting. We think Al that you probably think he's probably experimenting, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think he's trying to figure out, what works, trying to gain speed as much as he can. And, plus he's got really nothing to lose because the person that's stressed out the most at this point is going to be Malik because he has had Mr. Maines in his back window for the larger part of this race since we've come under caution, Brian.
Yeah, and we were watching Dylan Alt definitely putting a lot of great laps in. Also, trying to catch up here to Garrett Maines. He was putting a lot of pressure on him in that, that Burger King machine, looking like he's wanting to try to throw a whopper on Mr. Maines. But man, this has been exciting to watch. I mean, even though we have a long, arduous journey ahead of us, I'm telling you, I'm enjoying every minute of it.
Really, feel arduous. No, I'm just kidding. But just like that 40 car now is closing the gap now, and he is making this battle for the lead heat up. It is now 3 cars that are nice and tucked in. But the reason why I brought that up, Brian, because if you look just ahead of these guys in the edge of your frame, you're going to start to see that lap traffic. And now that lap traffic, that 911 car and the 17 car of Robert Pattengill, they are going to be a factor here sooner than later.
Yeah, it could be the opportunity that these guys need. Looks like Garrett Maines starting to fall back off of Malik Ray. Could he be trying to maybe build that run up? Almost like what you see at a plate track. You back it up a little bit and then get that ability to draft up. Could be a case here.
Well, yeah, that might be the case, but when we were riding along with that 31 car, you could actually see that he kind of had his hands full. I mean, so at this stage of the tire where these cars are becoming to be a little bit more than just a handful, and it's going to be interesting that once these guys actually come in contact with that lap traffic, how well they utilize that lap traffic to either gain positions for themselves or to make it a little bit more challenging, say, for the competitor to make a pass.
Yeah, exactly. Use a guy as a pick if you need to.
That's absolutely. That's exactly what you're going to do. You're going to be using that lap car as a pick.
Yeah, definitely. They're going to be unwitting, tools and pawns for these guys here when it's all said and done, and it's going to be coming into play here anytime now.
And speaking on that point, I might not know a whole lot about leading races, but I understand the concept of being lapped, and that's and as lap traffic, the one thing that you do want to do, you're looking at letting these guys get by you as fast as possible so you can get back in their draft and maybe use them to say go by that car that they're going to be passing next because, you're going to be fighting that character for a lucky dog.
And there goes the 911 going down a lap. As Dylan Alt tries to get up and squeezes right up in front of him. It did not change the running order there, but there is some more lap traffic to come up to. And, if the lap cars start to race each other side by side, I mean, that could definitely affect these guys for sure. And, if they don't, like you said earlier, if they don't move out of the way, I wouldn't want to move out of the way. I mean, I will be trying to fight as much as I can, fight tooth and nail, because you never know if a caution is going to come out, especially this long into the run. I mean, we're 45-plus laps on these tires now.
Yeah, there's plenty of racing left. I mean, in no stretch of the imagination is this thing anywhere even close to over. We're not even a quarter of the way through this. So when you think of when we're talking about lap traffic, those guys have just as much right to run, say, as the faster cars because, it's not just on them to say just kind of lay down. They still have to be out there and be competitive. And once you lose your momentum, especially at a track like Charlotte, it's gone, Brian.
Definitely is a very much a momentum track. I mean, just like in what we see at Kansas. I mean, you get a little loose. That's all it takes. Even just a little loose can cause you to lose that momentum.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tire wear, of course, I do believe it has plateaued here. Everybody hitting around 31.2, 31.3 for the most part. So it does seem like there's a limit on how far the fall off does come into play.
Yeah, so now I think we're probably within that window for green flag pit stop. So, and are these guys out there and are they having such a hard time that they're just ready to come in and get a fresh set of good years? You know, what did you say it is? With 64 laps, I believe, on a tank of gas.
Yeah, 65, I do believe. And of course, Malik Ray probably going to be a little bit less, so maybe 64 for him. But yeah, I mean, and it's all about the guys they got behind the scenes. I mean, you know, we got pro level drivers in this race right now that probably have, you know, a spotter or you know, some type of crew chief that's helping them out and figuring out, you know, when is the best time to come down pit road. I mean, you know, it's always, you know, having a bunch of minds together definitely going to help out. You know, you want to make that right decision. So, you know, when you're out there racing, you're trying to deal with just the race car itself. You know, it's hard to make those decisions yourself. So I would say these guys probably have somebody behind the scenes making some calls and, like, you know, doing some math, crunching some numbers, acting like Larry McReynolds, I guess.
Yeah, and so just like that, Brian, green flag pit stops are underway. We've got 2 guys down pit road right now. So, you know, it kind of begs to wonder, you know, do you stay out till you just can't handle this thing? The 32 car, though, not being on pit road long at all, wondering if he just only maybe took fuel only.
No, I do believe he did take tires. He spent 14.6 seconds in the box.
It seemed like he was just on and off a lot faster than he really was. So.
Yeah, it definitely did seem that way. But looking at the telemetry here, yeah, 14.6 seconds. So that's indicative of a full tire. As Malik Ray starting to pull away now from these other guys. Now almost 4/10 here he has built up.
Yeah, and you know, you had wondered if maybe that would have been Maine's just laying back a little bit, or maybe that was just Malik, you know, just mastering his shift a little better. Maine's did seem to be searching for the fastest way around the track as he was shifting. You know, we did ride along with him. Can we ride along with, say, let's jump in that 40 car of Dylan Alt and let's see what he's actually doing, since he has been right on the tail bumper of that 31 car now for quite a while.
You can definitely hear that, you know, these guys are having to live. This is not, you know, what we saw last, you know, season in the Gen 6, where these guys, you know, around Charlotte, you were able to pretty much flat out. That is not what we're seeing here. This is, you know, not easy at all. You know, these guys are having to live. The 670 package, you know, usually 550 was last season at these mile and a halves. 670 makes it to where you got to drive this car.
Yeah, that 670 package is a race car driver's package. This is no lazy man's car. You're not just going to sit back there, kick the seat back, put on the cruise control in this bad boy. You're definitely going to have your knuckles on the wheel. You're going to be tuned in, and you're going to be tight, because if you're not, you will be alone for the ride, Brian.
As we now are 90 laps into this race, soon to be 1/4 of the way through this 600-mile event. And man, it has just been so exciting. Dylan Alt looking like he's got a tremendous amount of speed. It's just so hard to pass. You know, since he lost that clean air advantage, I mean, I think that was the key. I think, you know, that unless these guys make mistakes on pit road, which really could happen, or maybe have different pit strategies. I mean, that definitely could change the running order. You know, do you short pit to maybe get that track position? I think it could be a worthwhile call if the track position is that important.
Well, yeah, we've already got a couple guys that did just that. They short pitted the situation, and we'll definitely be looking to see if it's going to pay off for those guys. Because, like I said, you know, the guys are gonna make it to the window, but some guys are just barely gonna get there and just, you know, come down because they lost the handling of their car. But that doesn't seem to be the case for our leaders, as they are now stretching this thing out. Earlier, we noted that there was a distinct difference between the first 7 cars, then there was a gap, and then it was you know, more cars. Now that disparity is like the first 3 cars, and then okay, and then others.
Yeah, I mean, there's not as huge of gaps as we had earlier, that's for sure. I mean, looking at, you know, Jason Maines, he's in 6th place. He's trying to catch up here to Brooks Dirting, but not able to do so right now. So that 9 car seems like he's you know, struggling a little bit here. I mean, everybody, I would say, is probably struggling a little bit right now, just considering, I mean, how much wear is on these tires. I mean, I wish I could really see what the percentages are and what tires wearing the most, and I think that would be some very important information, as Dylan Alt taking over 2nd
Yeah, I don't think anybody's going to share that information with us, though. I think that goes down there as privileged information.
Second place has changed hands here. Interesting. We missed exactly what happened.
Yes, the leader now is actually coming up to lap traffic. That 72 car is coming into frame. So now, yet another car falls a lap down, and we are still waiting to actually begin the remainder of our green flag pit stops.
I'm looking at this. Wow. I was taking a look back right quick to see how this pass kind of unfolded. Dylan Alt just muscled his way underneath Garrett Maines and took that position away on the front stretch. Man, definitely loving to see that. That's the kind of racing you want to see.
But that's not what Malik wanted to see, because right now he is looking in his rearview mirror, and that gap's only going to get shorter. Dylan Alt now is already made work of one, and now he's probably just going to go ahead and continue to close that gap on our leader.
Yeah, definitely. The top three right now are just a bunch of heavy hitters. I mean, you got Garrett Maines, you got Dylan Alt, you got Malik Ray. I mean, man, just exciting. I was talking to some guys before the race, and it was, they said that definitely going to be a tough challenge to actually, challenge these guys. I mean, you see these guys in the Coke Series. What are you supposed to do? And that's intimidating. But I mean, definitely got to give a shout out to all the guys that did decide that, hey, I'm gonna sign up. I'm gonna try to see if I can't put myself against these guys.
But don't you want to, though? I mean, let's have a real conversation. We got time. But don't you want to race against the best? I'd have been here just because those guys are here. How often are you going to get an opportunity to get on the same racetrack with, some of the, the pro iRacers, if you will? Be able to just, like, when this guy passes you, watch his line. You're running a fixed setup. You can tell that there is a big difference between the skill level of the drivers just by the lap times at this point in the race. But I want to get, there. I want to learn. I want to be amongst the best.
No, I think you're hitting it right on the head. I mean, it's definitely, you want to learn from the best, and like you said, even if you're losing, you could at least be losing and learning at the same time.
I'd much rather lose to a winner than lose to just a bunch of dudes. You know what I mean? Yeah, give me the opportunity to pick the people that beat me. But that is how you get better. And I had a leader in the Army once, General Petraeus, and his catchphrase was, "Perfect practice makes perfect." A lot of people didn't get that, but guys were like, "Well, I'm just going through the motions today." Well, no, if you just go through the motions today, then what are you going to do race day? So you gotta. It's just like practicing pitting. We talked about that. Guys come and if you don't practice pitting, then how do you expect to win? Because you drive for show, but you pit for dough, right?
Yeah, definitely. You got to show up. You got to try to learn from these guys. Get experience, get more seat time. Especially, this being a new car, these guys are, rising to that occasion to try to figure out what they need to do. And green flag pit stops for these leaders are going to be any time now. If what we have heard is correct, 65 lap on a fuel run, these guys are going to have to pit like probably in the next lap.
The good news, though, Brian, is that apparently tires aren't the factor, because these guys are just rolling right along, and we are smack dab in the middle of our green flag pit stops, as we've had several cars go ahead and make their way down pit road. But that's another thing. Charlotte Motor Speedway getting on the pit road, probably not the easiest task either.
No, not at all. You see Robert Pattengale now making his way down pit road.
Al Keselowski also on pit road.
Yeah, we saw a lot of tire smoke. It's very easy to speed at a track like this. I mean,
Later pit road.
Malik Ray and Garrett Maines, I do believe, both taking that trip down pit road. That's going to put Dylan Alt up into the lead. I would assume he's going to have to come down the next time by.
Yeah, absolutely. He's going to want to come down the next time by.
I mean, just considering I don't even think he can make it that much more further. But we'll have to wait and see here. It looks like he is going to stay out one more lap here. Problems with the 97. Robbie Lyon getting into the grass there on pit exit. Hopefully he doesn't get an unsafe pit entry or exit here. That would not be good. That would mean he'd have to come back down pit road and serve a penalty.
Yeah, that is definitely not what you want to do here.
Not at all. And the only people on the lead lap right now is Dylan Alt and Jason Maines.
Leader pit road.
Dylan Alt, of course, down pit road. Jason Maines also going to be following him in. That is going to cycle us out. Let's see what, I mean, these guys are going to definitely be on these colder tires. When we saw the problem really came from when these guys were on older tires. Could we see something similar?
No adjustments to make though, right? And here you are, cooler tires, cooler track, so everything's just going to play. Now it looks like we're showing that track temperature somewhere around 79 degrees. The winds are still out of the south now at 4 miles an hour. Sky conditions are partly cloudy, so if we were in an open setup now, guys would be making changes, because now you want to get that car set up for the long run. Well, here now you just got to drive it like you're driving it, you know?
You definitely do. I mean, you saw what, I'm sure a lot of these guys got that very important tire data also from that last run. I mean, that was the longest run we've seen so far tonight. I mean, the 65-lap run, that's going to be a lot of very important data that you can use to kind of, figure out how you should be running it. Maybe hopefully these guys got some crew chiefs and spotters and saying, hey, you're doing this in this certain part of the racetrack. Maybe try to, change your line here. It's wearing your tires out.
Yeah, absolutely. And so since we are now just a little over a quarter away through this thing, we're going to look at our running order. Right now we're showing the number 7 car of Malik Ray as our leader. That shows us that Garrett Maines in that 31 Chevrolet in second place. Dylan Audit in that number 40 Chevrolet has got third place. Jason D. Maines has got fourth place locked up. Dale Brooks being shown in fifth place. Robert Lyons being in sixth place, with Al Kauslowski being shown in seventh place, and Travis Rogers now in eighth place. Brian?
Ninth place right now, Robert Pattengill. Of course, Travis Rogers is a lap down. Robert Pattengill a lap down also. 10th place, Bill Muffield. 2 laps down right now. He's in 10th. 11th place, Christopher Tate, 3 laps down. Justin Levine in 12th. He is out of the race car. 13th, Brooks Dirting. He is out of the race car. Gary Adamson, 14th. He is out of the race car. Noah Bitts, of course, and Sean Conklin all out of the race cars. Interesting, we saw, Brooks Dirting was still racing there for a moment. We saw Justin Levine was still out there racing. I mean, curious why those guys left. Did something go wrong?
Not everybody just wants to ride around in traffic. I don't know, Brian. That is a good question, but yeah, I don't know. Where are you at on that? Are you the guy that's?
I'm gonna look it up. I'm gonna look and see what happened with Levine if something actually happened.
Well, I was gonna say, well, we know Levine left, right? No. Well, I was gonna ask you this question: are you the guy that's gonna sit in the car and stick it out and continue riding? When it's all beat up with no tires on it, or are you the guy that, like, as soon as it's got a scratch on it, that you're gonna pull the Kyle Busch and walk away?
Oh, looking back at this, Levine entered pit road with a clean car, had to come down again, and had damage that second time. I'm going to definitely investigate into what happened here. Man. Sorry to take a little bit of time here. I'm going to definitely investigate into this, because this is odd. I think there might have been some contact on the racetrack. He gets off pit road just fine here. Oh, and he lost it right off of pit road on exit here. Gets loose and pancakes that outside wall. Oh, no. And that is what happened to Justin Levine. He takes, right as he exits pit road, decides he's going to go back down pit road, and that's going to be the end of his night. Unfortunate there. That just shows you how much these guys really, it means to them, though, to try to get, be successful in this race. He was trying, to go as hard as he can on exit there.
Meanwhile, the leader is just getting ready to put Al Kozlowski a lap down, and that 88 Speedway Angels Toyota just going to let those guys go ahead and fly by on the outside.
You talked about it earlier, and I think you hit the nail right on the head. I mean, this is all going to be about if you're here at the end of this race. And so far, a lot of the answers or the questions.
Oh, Pattingill's lines up, tried to let the leader go by. Might have just made a little bit of contact with that outside wall, but hey, I think it'll buff out. It'll buff out. We're good.
Yeah, it wasn't that hard of a hit. But I think, you just got to be here. I mean, you see, guys like Dale Brooks, a lot of these guys that, have, had some issues in this race, but they stuck it out, and they're still here, still in the top 5. I mean, all it takes is two more positions for a guy like Dale Brooks, and he's in the money. He gets something. Heck, I wouldn't mind finishing 3rd. That's still getting paid.
I mean, we're in the money. It's a payday is a payday, and I think that's what everybody out here is looking for.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, Garrett Maines is just tucked in right behind our leader, and he's just going to follow suit. Now, interested to note that the 4-0 car, though, it's not been able to close that gap up yet, but he is doing everything that he can to make that happen.
And sorry about that. I was just looking at the details here on the actual pay scale here. 3rd place will get $25. Of course, the buy-in tonight was $15, so that would be getting your money back and $10. Of course, 2nd place gets $75, and first place gets $200.
So yeah, so even at 3rd place, you can tell your wife, "Look, babe, it was an investment, and I got my money back, almost half of it." You know what I mean? So that's a win-win right there.
Yeah, I mean, $10 is $10.
Yeah, never say what you would do for $10.
I'm not. I didn't plan on it. But Malik Ray right now out to 0.6 of a second on Garrett Maines. Of course, Garrett Maines has about a half a second back to Dylan Alt. So, green flag pit stops definitely spreaded these guys out a little bit here. I think green flag pit stops in general are just an art form. It's so easy to mess that up.
Oh yeah, just in the NASCAR race today, we got to witness just that. They literally had to cut one of these tires off of the car to get it back into contention. And the pit crew, even though you think about that, the fact of trying to get the lug nut off and cutting the tire off, the Bowman only lost 4 laps. So it is an art form, and these guys are athletes, and the pit crews are actually graded just like the drivers are. So that's why people have to understand that this is a well organized team that keeps a race car rolling, if you will.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, a lot of those pit crews are ex-athletes themselves. We used to be football players and things of that nature.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I mean, those guys are definitely in shape. I'll tell you that. I mean, I went to the Darlington race last Sunday, and just watching those guys. I mean, they're always trying to stay limber. You see them stretching and trying to stay limber that whole time. Even though the drivers out there on the racetrack, they're still trying to make sure that they're in the right mindset to make the right calls. I mean, it's split seconds.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, Brian, with that, speaking of staying in shape, let's go ahead and take a step away and get a word from our sponsors.
There are moments that surprise and delight the mind and the senses. Introducing Sound Art, the world's first truly customizable, concealed, flat panel art speaker system. A revolutionary combination of incredible sound delivered from your most meaningful pictures. When art and technology intersect, there is a seamless blend of creativity and function.
Come alive in the streetlight, pulling at the stars in the moonlight. Every time I feel you close.
With Sound Art, Anyone can print their own artwork or pick from numerous licensed artwork that we have. The possibilities are limitless. Enjoy beautiful and amazing sound throughout your home. The entire surface of your artwork generates incredibly robust sound. Your art never sounded so good.
And we are back. Definitely excited to see how the rest of this race progresses. I tell you what, we talked about it before. Attrition has been the name of the game so far here tonight. I mean, Christopher Tate, we just saw him go down pit road and park that machine. So a lot of these guys, I think, demoralized. And, this is a marathon. And in a marathon, you do get demoralized.
They're not demoralized. I think what it is they've calculated the cost of fuel and tires for the rest of this thing. And they just realized that it wasn't a physical, responsible thing to do to stay running. Let's say that instead.
One interesting thing, we see Malik Ray, Garrett Maines, and Dylan all right here together. They are catching up to now fifth and sixth now. So we might see even those guys go a lap down here before too long.
No, yeah, that's not what we want to see, but you're right, that might be the case. But Malik has now got his hands full as the 31 and 40 have both closed the door on him. And now they are not drafted, Brian. These guys are definitely racing.
That they are. And definitely expect this to heat up between these three drivers. I mean, these guys have been racing hard all night long so far. As speaking tonight, I mean, the sun keeps on going down. And the temperature has continued to decrease, now down to 78 degrees.
Yeah, it's just almost in time for those lights to actually start coming on. But this track itself is a totally different track, once the sun sets versus it is, during the daytime. So even that's going to affect the lines these drivers are running, as well as how long the tires and how well they're actually benefiting. I think maybe if we can get Al Koslowski, I think he's out on the track right now. Maybe we can get a look and get some words from Al and ask if tire wear has been a factor.
Yeah, sounds like a plan to me. We got Al Koslowski in the booth right now, I do believe.
Hey, Al, this is Big Al up in the booth. You got me?
What's going on, fellas?
Hey, nothing. We just see you riding around down there. Looks like you're having a great time. Currently being shown in 11th place. One more lap and you'll be up in 10th, which will definitely get you an honorable mention. How's tire wear been going down there for you guys?
I'm eating up my tires. I mean, I'm not got a good line or anything, so it's not. I wouldn't compare what I'm doing. I'm just out here trying to get 10th place, and then I'm parking this thing, and I'll come join you guys in the booth here. We got the stars of the field. You got the Coke Series drivers up here, Malik and Garrett, and a couple of these guys. They've got this thing figured out. They got a perfect line. I mean, running flawless. So I tried to stay in as long as I could, and I messed up my pit stop, so I decided, yeah, I'm going to call it.
Definitely understand that, man. I mean, at least you got yourself a top 10. You attempted to tackle this. I mean, heck, we're so far, 131 laps into this race. I mean, this is what we did yesterday. 134 laps. I mean, we're almost at the point where we've done one normal ISCA race. I mean,
yeah, this is a rough one. I mean, the track feels like it's really. We're running fixed setups also, so you know everybody's got an equal chance at this thing, and it's all about your driving styles and your talents, and the field is showing who's got the styles and the talents for sure.
Oh, some big wiggling here. Dylan Alt. A lot of these guys trying to get by this lap traffic. So this is if there's going to be a caution, this could be the best chance for that to happen here. As Malik Ray catches up here to I do believe that's Robbie Lyons there.
Yeah, that is Robbie Lyons, the 97 car, and Robbie's been running his own unique line here most of the night. Love to get a talk to him there a little bit later on to see how that's been affecting his tire wear. But now that 7 car is going to have to pick his way through the field, and we had talked about this earlier, Brian, that the key was going to be not only running this thing clean, but actually having to get through this lap traffic, and that's exactly where we're at right now.
You see Dale Brooks, he's going to go a lap down now. He will be your lucky dog, so if something does happen here, and so this is going to split up, I do believe, Dylan Alt here and Garrett Maines, so could slow him down, but it looks like Dale Brooks going to do the right thing and get out of the way. Oh, almost a little touch with the wall there, getting loose.
Yeah, I think he's coming right back down to there on Robbie Lyons. I'm sure Lyons probably didn't appreciate that too much, maybe got his blood pressure up just a little bit, but he's going to go ahead and make that pass too without any problems. And like we had talked about earlier, as a lap car, you know, like I said, I don't know anything about winning these things, but I've been lapped a bunch. So that was a key example of what I'm talking about there with Dale Brooks and Robbie Lyons. Robbie Lyons actually able to just run right by Dale Brooks there with the lead pack and pass Dale Brooks, and now he secured that lucky dog. And I'm gonna tell you, that will make a big difference later on in this race. Should we have a caution here in the near future?
Yeah, I mean, especially if we see Dylan Alt, you know, Garrett Maines, you know, Malik Ray, these guys, if they race each other hard, and you know, as this race goes on, I mean, they're going to be racing each other hard. So, you know, Robbie Lyons or Dale Brooks, if they're able to get that lucky dog whenever something does go wrong, you know, could they, you know, get back on the lead lap? Hopefully that will be the case. I mean, especially because, I mean, you know, these guys, I don't believe, even though they are Coke Series drivers, I don't think they do races that are this long usually. I mean, usually the Coke Series does not do full length races. This is a 600-mile race.
It's the longest race in the series, period. I mean, this is, you know, so yeah, no one that routinely goes out and practices this type of a marathon, and it's even going to be a marathon for us as we sit here, because this race is going to take 4+ hours. So the drivers are going, I mean, just imagine sitting there being focused for that long.
We have a hard enough time in the broadcast booth, you know. I mean, these guys are actually controlling a machine. Like, they're, you know, I'm just pressing the button and talking.
Yeah, you can't take any time off, you know. You're constantly having to make decisions every split second.
Well, we're an hour and a half into this thing, guys, and we're not even a third of the way through it. And, you know, these guys are sitting at home on a race rig, and if they got to use the bathroom, I don't know of any of them that are going to.
Oh, green flag pit stops for a bathroom break.
Exactly.
Think about that when I'm racing. I mean, I'm in it for the win it. You know, these guys are going to go. They're going for the gusto, because at the end of this race goes down in the books. It was the ISCA 600, and whoever wins this thing is the 2022 victor. You know, and that's just the bottom line.
I mean, I don't know what you would do in that situation if you had. I mean, I'm hoping that these guys probably just didn't drink anything the whole race.
That's why they make the big bucks, Brian. They're not doing this for free, so, you know, they'll figure it out.
Well, I don't know if you guys noticed earlier in this race that Garrett was pulled up on the high line, and he was slowing down on one of the restarts, and he went to go get his phone and let his car just roll around the track.
Well, that's something. Takes a lot of courage to do that.
I don't know how you do that, but
I'm wearing a catheter right now, guys. I knew this was going on.
That's what you had to do. I mean, there's only a couple different options you got right here. You park your car, you go use the bathroom, you use it where you sit, or you put a diaper on. I don't know.
tonight's race sponsored by Depends.
It all depends.
Depends. It does until it don't.
And Dale Brooks ended up having to take a green flag pit stop there. That puts him 2 laps down now.
Yeah, so that is definitely going to play into Robbie Lyon's favor, because now, you know, he is that sole position of that lucky dog, as he is he's the only car being shown 1 lap now. And the thing about that too, guys, is, you know, it's easy to lose that lap. It's hard to get a lap back.
Yeah, especially when it's this green. I mean, but I mean, like we were saying earlier, I mean, this is an endurance test. I mean, you lose focus. I mean, it's so easy to lose focus. I mean, if you spend 4 hours on the interstate, you know, you gotta stop and take a break a lot of times, just because you know you get that white line fever.
Well, not just that, too, but it's the morons that you're on the road with. Can I say that? I say that? You know, so you're hoping that these guys, you know, not only do they have a certain safety rating, but they are of a certain class. Because, and I still want to press the point, guys, this is far from over. This is nobody's race. That check has not been written. These guys still have 257 laps left to go. You know, like you said, Al, we're not even a third of the way through this thing. So, you know, it's a lot of racing left to come. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're just joining us, welcome to the ISCA 600. This race is going live. So far, we have only had 2 cautions for a total of 8 laps. We have 257 laps to go. There are currently 4 cars on the lead lap. There are, I believe, 5 cars that are out of the contest, and everybody else is just rolling along.
Travis Rogers, I do believe, just took a trip down pit road here. He is in 8th, just lost that position to Dale Brooks moving up to 7th because of that. So interesting to see these guys on different strategies.
Second place just changed hands too. It looked like Garrett had pushed up a little bit too far, and Dylan took that position from him.
But this is exactly what happened last time once we got to this point in the race where the tire were, because believe it or not, guys, I think we're actually back in our pit window again for the 3rd time.
Yeah, looking at the 43 laps on the tires right now. So, yeah, definitely going to be probably pitting here, I'd say maybe in the next 20 laps. But we saw this from Dylan Alt before. I mean, Alt, you know, he seems like he's definitely willing to take that risk, you know, kind of almost muscle his way around Garrett Maines. And, hey, I would be willing to muscle my way around someone, too, if it meant, you know, getting $25 versus $75, you know.
I was wondering which one of these top 3 are going to take – they're probably all going to pit together. I mean, I would short pit and hope for the best, but –
Well, they're all actually – the 40 car was on a separate sequence, I believe, last time. It looks like we just lost another driver. That 72 car of Travis Rogers. It looks like he has just removed himself from the contest.
Unfortunate to see that, but, I mean, it's quite an undertaking here, you know, you think, oh, I'll drive this 600-mile race. Maybe he had to go use the bathroom and figured out, you know, I gotta go. I mean, my race is over. I gotta go use the restroom.
Well, I think I'm gonna jump back in and do 22 more laps and take 9th position.
There you go. Go ahead. Hey, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, get every position you can. That's for sure.
Yeah, this is a long one, and I just don't have a car.
Looks like 4th place just got past.
I do believe those guys are laps down there getting around him. And there goes Al Koslowski. But yeah, side by side right now. Jason Maines having to deal with some lap traffic here, maybe on a little bit fresher tires than he is.
You know, Brian, the whole perspective of these races change when there's money on the line.
You want to see what fresh tires does? I come out with fresh tires, and I'm 1.7 seconds behind Jason Maines. Watch how fast I can catch him.
So when there's actual money on the line, that changes the entire context of the game. You understand what I'm saying? These guys are not just racing for bragging rights, they're racing for bucks, right?
Oh yeah, they're racing for that moolah. I mean, you win $200. You win, $25, $75. I mean, that's enough. You could buy some tracks on iRacing. You could buy, you could buy you a case of beer. You know.
Yeah, and who knows what's going to happen? We said that 100 times, but yeah, I think it's going to get down to endurance here at the end of this thing.
Malik Ray right now out to 1.3 seconds on the rest of the field. So definitely he seems like he has it all figured out. And no wonder. I mean, Malik Ray, ever since I've even been on iRacing, he has been a pro, Coke Series driver. So, I mean, he's got the seat time to really make something happen here.
See, I'm right on the tail of Jason Maines right here, and I'll pass him. I mean, and he's extremely faster than I am, but this new rubber makes it look like I'm faster.
It definitely does. As Al Kozlowski able to get right around that 9 car, like he was standing still essentially. And I think that shows the importance of different pit strategies. Guys maybe waiting a little bit later to go down pit road. That way you're on the new tires later in this race. Of course, that's not really going to come into play. But, I mean, that's just so much to consider, though. So many variables to consider when you have a 400-lap race.
Which one of the leaders was actually stayed out the longest on that last pit sequence?
I think it would probably be Garrett Maines, or it'd be either Garrett or Malik, because I believe
both of them pitted on the same lap, I do believe.
Yeah. So then it would have been the other car.
Dylan Alt stayed out 2 laps longer.
Okay, so Dylan Alt is on a different pit cycle than the other two, and that's going to be the difference because he is already, in his mind, if you think about it from this perspective, he's actually put 2 laps to the good. So if he can take 2 more laps and put them between pit sequence, he's going to put himself to have the overall advantage as this thing continues to run.
Yeah, I think you're 100% right, Big Al. I think that's such a good point. I mean, because, 2 laps here in this run, 2 laps in the next run. I mean, it's gonna compound.
Especially if this thing continues to go green, that's the hardest thing to do is to get that time back.
I mean, he might. He has 1.5 seconds in between him and Malik Ray. I mean, I still feel like he's on the best strategy here. We'll have to wait and see how it all turns out. I mean, like I was saying, there's just so much math that goes into making this work. I mean, we still have, multiple green flag pit stops that are going to be happening.
Yeah, another thing too to note is that we've discussed the leader has always been a faster. So clean air on this track, definitely hands down one of the biggest advantages that you're going to get besides new tires.
Yeah, 100%, definitely huge, advantage having that clean air. It's just crazy to see how, how close these guys get to the wall on these straightaways. I feel like that really shows how confident they are, running that close to the wall. They know exactly what they're doing. I mean, it is something, I'm in awe.
Yeah, they arc this turn 1 really. I don't know how they do it. They get such a great arc. It almost takes the rear end of their car out, just to step it out just a little bit. And then when they come off that turn 2, they're against that wall. I try that, and there'll be sparks flying everywhere.
Like pit stops looks like they're underway. Got that 911 car of Bill Mulfield on pit road now. It looks like he's a driver there from the Mid-South. Currently running in 8th place, so see if he comes down, going to get him 4 fresh good years and some Sunoco racing fuel.
Yeah, it looks like he's definitely going to be taking 4 tires here.
Yeah, I think we've determined that the way to go is 4 tires and fill it full of fuel. That's what everyone's going to be doing.
Yeah, I contemplated on taking rights only in full fuel, but you're already getting that much fuel. You might as well take all 4.
Right, green flag pit stops continues. We got the 32 car finding himself on pit road. He took a tow on the entrance.
Oh, no.
That's about.
I do believe, I think he's calling it quits here.
Yeah, that's unfortunate as
They
well.
keep dropping out. I may have to stay out here and just keep moving up.
Yeah, ladies and
You
gentlemen,
might be in the money after at the end of this race.
that was the 32 car. Dale Brooks looks like he was calling it quits.
Yeah, I hate to see that, but, you know, sometimes, you know, you get out there, you're running, you know, 2 laps down, you know, it kind of gets to you. You know, it's demoralizing in a lot of ways, but, I mean, the guys that are able to I don't know, go against those thoughts, you know, kind of like, hey, stick with it. You never know what could happen here. You can get some money at something, you know, I mean, you never know what could happen. I mean, we could see any of these guys just plow right into the wall.
So now we got Jason Maines on pit road. The 9 car actually on pit road now earlier than expected. It's going to put him on a different pit sequence than our leader.
That might have been a smart move for Jason to do that because he's as fast as the leaders, but if this thing plays out all right, he might be just fine.
It looks like they're coming off of pit road right now. Jason Maines, of course, will be the lucky dog if anything happens here.
Yeah, this is that point where, you know, you got a lot of things going on the racetrack. You know, you got cars that are coming in on the pit road, guys coming off of pit road, guys that are up to speed. So this is probably one of the greatest opportunities that we're going to get to have a caution, especially as those guys further down the pecking order start to come out with those fresher tires. You know, they're going to try to make up that difference. And this thing has been going green, so there really hasn't been a lot of opportunities to bunch the field up, if you will. So this is going to be a greater time for cars that are at different speeds to come together right now.
And 100% we're seeing Al Kozlowski right now. He's about 6 laps, I do believe, from getting Travis Rogers here to move himself up into 9th here. So I would expect now you might be getting yourself a nice top 8 position here if all is said and done. If no one else quits, I mean, heck, if more people quit, you might even get yourself a top 5.
Well, I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. You're going to want to be as close to the front as possible as this thing gets down to the wire, because the leaders are going to start to race each other. They're gonna have to come in contact with each other at some point. Something's going to happen, and if you're available, man, I'm telling you, you might get paid.
That would be the 4th place car or the 3rd place car. I can almost guarantee you that Malik Ray or whoever's in the lead is not going to try to push it too much and wreck each other out, because I've done it so many times. You know, a win is great, but if you wreck, you're finished 20th, you know. So I don't know if they're going to be pushing each other and trying to race like you think they are.
And they are now 62 laps on their tires here. Malik Ray down pit road.
So now it's interesting that the leader's on pit road. That's definitely going to have to force the hands of the other 2 drivers, because you're not going to want him to come back out there on fresh rubber and then start to actually build that lead again. So now we have the 17 car, Robert Nightingale. He is on pit road.
Yeah, I think Dylan Alt, though, he's kind of on that strategy we talked about before. I think he's going to probably try to go as long as he can here, a little bit further than Garrett Maines. I think Garrett Maines, next time by, probably going to be taking a trip.
Garrett Maines on pit road now.
Garrett Maines, the 31 on pit road. So Dylan Alt, it's working out for him. I mean, I think he's going to have, you know, a little bit fresher tires at the end of this thing if he keeps on track with what he's doing.
So I'm wondering now if he is going to go ahead and he's up.
There he goes. Oh, and almost he locks those tires up.
A little late there, Brian. Looks like you smoked them up past the cones.
Hopefully he didn't get a speeding penalty, because that would be a huge detriment to him.
When all this pans out, guys, watch and see what kind of a lead Malik Ray has. He's probably going to have about 7-8 second gap between 2nd place.
Definitely could be the case here, as the green flag pit stops are taking place. Of course, everyone, I do believe, has cycled on through now.
Guess we're just going to have to run this thing through and see what happens. Did you guys watch that Kentucky Derby?
I did not.
I don't watch anybody horse around.
If I want to watch someone horse around, I watch BoJack Horseman.
Well, it was a horse that won that thing that was 80-1 odds.
Well, could that be something that we see here tonight? I mean, could someone that's not regular somehow grab the win here tonight? I mean, you mentioned it though, Al. Al Kozlowski. You see the gap that Malik Ray has right now, 4.2 seconds. So that is quite a large gap that he was able to build on that pit sequence.
Yeah, he's gained himself quite a bit. And the only way for the guys behind him to try to remotely try to accomplish getting back up there with him is by short pitting him on the next time around. I don't think it's going to happen.
We're now on lap 171. And still so much racing left to go. Over 200 laps remaining. Over 300 miles still to go as we test these guys' bladders.
Yeah, these guys are using me as a pick to try to get up with these guys. I'm just trying to stay out of their way. And that's what they'll do sometimes after these pit stops. They'll take, the leaders will take and use the lap cars as a draft pull to kind of pull them up, gather them back together.
Definitely does not seem like it's helping very much. So just considering, I mean, Malik has such almost a insurmountable lead right now. But I mean, at any moment it could go away. I mean, that's all it takes is one mistake. And even though these guys are pros, they're still human.
Well, not only that, Brian, but you just never know what's even going to occur. I mean, people lose internet connections. Weird things happen. We just call those queertrons.
Yeah, I mean, you're right, though. I mean, anything could happen at any moment that could cause, an internet connection drop. I mean, iRacing server might not agree with them. I mean, we'll have to wait and see if anything like that occurs. But I will say, I mean, Dylan Alt is running down Malik Ray right now. Now, last time by he was about a tenth and a half faster.
And one thing too, Dylan's actually faster in clean air than Malik is. So the more he can actually get in, from around anybody, I think the better off he's going to run as well.
Yeah, that's something we haven't seen a whole lot of tonight. A lot of guys. These top three really being in the clean air, all of them. I mean, because you've got Garrett Maines. I mean, he's about 1.4 seconds back. I mean, I think that's enough of a gap to he probably is not feeling too much of the dirty air that Dylan Alt's putting on. But I mean, you could tell that they are slower in the cleaner air. Just considering, I mean, you have the handling. You're going to be able to get through the corners better, but you're going to have it to where on the straightaways you're not going to be able to benefit from that draft. But Dylan Alt also is kind of benefiting from some draft here as he does catch up onto a lap car. I do believe that is the 911 Bill Mulfield.
And Roger that, Bill Mulfield being shown some 4 laps down in 7th place.
And here he comes on the inside, going to get right by him.
That's a nice paint scheme there that Mr. Mulfield has. Looks like he's throwing a little salute there to veterans.
Love to see that.
Yeah, got that ZL1 Chevrolet looking pretty good there today.
Yeah, it's definitely great to see that. Love to represent the veterans. And, I of course, I didn't serve or anything like that, but definitely those guys make such a sacrifice to, serve their country and, can't help but not support it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Hats off to all those that served, will serve, still serve. My son served, so I'm with you all the way, Brian. I'm patriotic as they come.
But Dylan Alt has really made up a lot of time on Malik Ray. Now 3.5 seconds separate those two.
Yeah, so we've pretty much established that these guys can only go so long before they actually need tires. And that's probably what's going to come down. It's going to be a bit fuel. That fuel is going to be the factor here.
Yeah, especially at the end. I mean, could someone, you go a little early on a green flag pit stop, that could, you don't think that 1 or 2 laps could affect you. But, I mean, at the end of this thing, when it comes down to just fumes in that tank, it really could play a role here. Could someone run out of gas crossing the finish line?
Yep, we still got about 221 laps though before we'll get a sneak peek of that show. Yeah, it's been a great race though, only 2 cautions so far, and honestly, I don't think we got 2 cautions left in us as the field has continually dwindled down. I do believe we're only showing some 7 cars still actually on the racing surface. 8
Yeah,
cars.
I'm just doing part-time running here. Just as they drop out, I'll just come out and grab a lap or a position. It's terrible to do that, but
Well, what do you think, guys? We'll take a quick step away. Give our voices a rest.
There are moments that surprise and delight the mind and the senses. Introducing Sound Art, the world's first truly customizable, concealed, flat panel art speaker system. A revolutionary combination of incredible sound delivered from your most meaningful pictures. When art and technology intersect, there is a seamless blend of creativity and function.
Come alive in the streetlight, pulling at the stars in the moonlight. Every time I feel you close.
With Sound Art, anyone can print their own artwork or pick from numerous licensed artwork that we have. The possibilities are limitless. Enjoy beautiful and amazing sound throughout your home. The entire surface of your artwork generates incredibly robust sound. Your art never sounded so good.
And we are back. Robbie Lyons taking a trip down pit road here, pitting from the 5th place position here.
Yeah, and from looking at the right side of that car, I'd say he'd been running the high line tonight there. Right?
I'd say that's probably true. I'm going to be probably taking some repairs here. I don't know, though. I mean, I do believe Robert Packingale going to be moving up to 5th here if he doesn't get out quickly.
oh, Robbie Lyons left.
Oh, man, he is out of the car. And that leaves us down to, I do believe, 7 drivers out on the racetrack. But Dylan Alt has been very much catching up to Malik Ray. Last we looked at it was about 3.5, 3.6 seconds. Now under 3 seconds, 2.8 seconds now in between these two drivers. And maybe him staying out that one extra lap seems like it is paying off.
Yeah, but Malik's still the fastest car on the track right now. So the more that runs, the harder that is. Well, Dylan actually having the faster lap right there on that run.
I think it comes down to consistency, and I think Dylan's got a lot of consistency right now.
Yeah, Dylan did have the lead there for the majority of the first part of this race until we actually went to caution, and that's when Malik was actually able to win that race off pit road. And really, he hadn't looked back since there, Brian.
And also the temperatures have been steadily falling. Now 77 degrees. We started out 84, so it has fallen dramatically. Definitely affecting the handling on these race cars and probably affecting the speed.
But wait, there's more. Because the sun continues to set here on Charlotte Motor Speedway. Now it's showing us at 7:44 in sim. Just been at this just over an hour and 44 minutes. So, you know, there's a lot more of the racetrack that's under shade now than there was earlier.
Oh, yeah.
It might loosen up or tighten up. If it tightens up, it's going to be really bad because these guys are pushing to the wall. But the sun glaring down on you coming off of turn 4 is going to be the problem for everybody.
Yeah, that is one of those signature Charlotte Motor Speedway problems, that glare coming off the backstretch there. You're absolutely right there, Al. So they're going to have to contend with that, as well as setting up to come into those turns with a car that, you know, you're just got to, because, you know, let's go back to this, guys. These guys are running a fixed setup, and that means that really the only adjustments the driver's going to be able to make is to the way he is running, what lines he's running. So although these guys have been running their lines in the first part of this thing, I think this track's going to become a completely different animal here in the next 35, 40 minutes.
Yeah, I definitely think that could be the case. There's only 4 drivers right now remaining on the lead lap. Jason Maines right now is the last driver. Of course, he is going to be in danger of going a lap down sooner than rather than later. As I do believe these guys are closing in on him. Looking at lap times, they are about a 10th faster, or Malik Ray is about a 10th faster. As gotta give a big shout out though to Robert Pattengale. You know, he's one of those guys. He doesn't give up. You know, right now in 5th place, and also, you know, got to mention, you know, he got himself a nice 3rd place finish last night.
Yeah, absolutely. Way to go, Robert Pattengale. That was an awesome finish for him, and that's a very good, you know, wave of momentum coming in here to today's race. And even though right now he's out of the money, he is still running well here and representing pretty good too.
He definitely is. I mean, he's been one that I've been just so impressed with. You know, the amount of growing and you know, evolving as a driver that we've seen from him, I think is just, you know, it's important to note.
Well, you know, he's got bragging rights. I mean, he's 5th place. There's only 3 drivers in front of him, and those are Coke Series drivers. And then Jason Maines, that's Garrett Maines' father. So, I mean, that's bragging rights. If you're coming,
That's interesting. I didn't know that was his father.
Yep, Jason Maines is Garrett Maines' father.
Well, he's definitely fast in his own right.
Oh yeah, they're racers. That's real life racers right there. Garrett is a wheel man for certain.
Real life racing, huh? What does he race in real life?
I think they've got a, what is it, the Legends? I know he's raced those Legend cars, and I think he's at a stock car, but it's at a lower level than NASCAR. That kid right there, I'm telling you, he's a young kid, 18, 19 years old, something like that, but it doesn't matter. I've seen that kid get into a car that iRacing has just uploaded. Nobody's ever turned a lap on it. He'll get in there, and he'll race that maybe 4 or 5 laps, and he's just smoking the times. I mean, I don't understand it. It's a phenomenon.
It definitely seems like, I mean, every time I've talked to him, he seems like a smart guy, knows his way around a race car, that's for sure. never had the chance to talk to Malik Ray, but I mean, it looks like we're going to get that chance here tonight.
Yeah, Malik heard about us over here, Brian, and think he is just trying to race to get here. But I tell you,
He
Malik
wants to talk to us. I mean, just like, I mean, everybody races just to talk to me and you, Al.
Absolutely. It is what it is.
Makes me feel very important, that's for sure.
Absolutely. And we're gonna give him the honor to do that here if he can just hold off for about another 200 laps or so.
Yeah, it's not an easy undertaking. I mean, we're only about to cross the halfway point here, so that means we have 300 miles left to go. And still the question comes. I hate to keep mentioning it, and I know it's kind of a lot of people probably don't want to listen to that, but restroom breaks. You think these guys are gonna? I mean, I know if I was in the situation that these guys are in, I definitely would not be able to make it.
Well, so there's been a lot of talk about this even in the pro ranks, and some drivers, they just be right where they said it is what it is. There's even been talks to drivers doing number 2 right there as well. So.
Oh man, oh yeah, Tony Stewart. I think it's Sonoma or something like that.
I tell you what though, here in about say 200 laps, I tell you, I'll let you field that question.
I'm not gonna ask him that. I might. I don't know. It definitely is a question that's on my mind. I'm sure it's a question that's on the minds of everybody out there tuning in. And we definitely, if you've made it this far with us, I gotta say we appreciate you watching. Supporting the ISCA. I mean, this is kind of the special event that we're putting on here. Tune in to us, any Thursday or Saturday. I mean, we have some great racing at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I'm telling you what, I mean, me and Big Al always cutting up in the broadcast booth, and Nolan on Thursdays. And got to give a big shout out, though. I think one unsung hero tonight got to be Rob Melnick behind the cameras.
Definitely want to say thank you to Rob Melnick. Nothing against Kenny Powell Productions, but when Rob Melnick's in the house, it just is it's a pretty good feeling for Big Al.
Oh yeah. As Malik Ray starting to pull away once again on Dylan Alt, looks like it has definitely switched quite a bit here. Maybe Dylan was burning his equipment up, trying to catch up there to Malik, and it seems like he's definitely slowed down quite a bit. He's about 5 or 6 hundredths slower than Malik Ray that last time by, and about 3.4 seconds in between those drivers. And could that come down to also, not having that other car to judge yourself on? These guys are essentially alone on the racetrack. I mean, even though they might be able to see each other a little bit on the straightaways, still essentially alone, which makes it very hard to know, when you're breaking, or not breaking points, but when you're lifting points and stuff. It really is imperative that you have that person to judge yourself on. Wouldn't you say, Al Kozlowski?
It's very important. And I was just thinking to myself, I don't think we've ran this next-gen car on this track yet. So this is, not only are we in a fixed setup, but we're in a whole new area here. I don't think we've ran it.
This is even new probably to these Coke drivers.
Yeah, that's really impressive how they grab that, because, I mean, this isn't the car we drove last year. So they're just learning as they go. Every lap they're learning something new.
You love to see it. I mean, these guys tackling this challenge, and we're getting a master class right here. We're getting to watch these guys, their learning process. I'm loving every bit of it.
Absolutely, Brian. I don't think there's any place I'd rather be than right here calling this race with you guys. And this awesome race sponsored by the ISCA, guys. If you don't know about the ISCA, you can like us, follow us, and subscribe to us. Subscribe to us on Twitch, follow us on Facebook, and like us on Twitter. Was that right? Did I get it right, Brian?
We'll say you did.
Hell yeah. I'm going to figure it out, man. I'm going to get this technology stuff down so I can know when to like, when to follow, and when to subscribe.
I think you're well on your way, man. I mean, you definitely got the right idea. Just, definitely keep an eye out for ISCA. We have some great races. I mean, I'd say we have some of the best commentating, you know, in the service here. I mean, considering we got, you know, Nolan Ramport, you know, definitely a great guy to broadcast with on Thursdays. Of course, you, Big Al, you know, maybe a little unorthodox, but you definitely you bring the heat.
Spell it. Every time you say something like that, I'm just going to challenge you to spell it. Not to say that I don't think you can spell it. I just, you know.
What are we spelling?
Unorthodox.
Why are you asking me to spell unorthodox?
Because you said I was unorthodox.
He don't think he can. I don't think he can. Spell it. Spell it, Brian.
Why are y'all doing this to me?
You got Google. Pull it up on Google. Ask Jeeves.
I'm not even gonna dignify y'all with a response. I can spell it. I mean, I manage social media so that I know how to spell.
I don't think you can. I think you're avoiding it.
UNORTHOX.
What'd you just say?
UNORTHOXED.
Welcome to Big Al's TED Talk.
Did you Google that?
Well, I mean, I actually know how to read and write, sir, if you believe that or not. And I was in the Army, so I can do that on at least an 8th grade level.
Very impressive here is the lights should be coming on any time. I mean, look at the conditions of the racetrack right now. It's getting darker and darker. It's starting to really get dark now, guys.
Yeah, the one thing that I'm surprised that we didn't see, now maybe it was because of the lack of participation, but you know, we didn't get that dark shade of rubber on the track that you usually see that gets built up. So, I mean, maybe that even plays into the handling of these cars as well, guys.
Yeah, Big Al, I was just thinking about that. I do not see any tire wear. And I was just thinking to myself also, well, I'm running around here trying to get 7th. I wonder when they're going to repave this. They're redoing every surface out there on these tracks. This one looks like a bunch of patch jobs coming into turn 1, you know?
Yeah, Carolina recently just got a bunch of money to do, I think they're redoing, was it North Wilkesboro and another track, Hickory, I believe, in this one.
Well, I believe Bruton Smith has a bunch of money. He doesn't need to get a grant from the government here to help redo this track.
And you know, that's one thing that we haven't really discussed. I mean, is the bumps on this racetrack. I mean, they are there. I mean, you know, if you run this in certain parts of the racetrack, there are bumps. Would you say, Al Kozlowski? I mean, you were on the racetrack. You're on the racetrack right now. What are some of the bumps that these guys are having to deal with?
Well, there's a hell of a bump entering turn 1 that if you don't hit it just right, if you hit it with your rear end, you're going around. I'm going to see if I can find it, and I don't want to wreck, but because that would really screw up stuff. But there's bumps all down the front stretch here, and then if you come up to the wall right about here, there's a bump right there. So you have to kind of control your car off that bump. If you do it wrong, it's going to whip you around.
Yeah, we saw earlier in the race, you know, we saw Noah Bitts and I do believe even Dale Brooks both got, you know, caught by something out of turn 2. Was that based on just the, you think the shade of the racetrack, or was that another bump?
No, there's a bump coming off of turn 2 as well. It's a little off the bottom apron there. It's right about the middle. And if you hit that wrong, it's going to do the same thing. It's going to make your rear end go kittywampus and you hit the wall. So that's probably what they did.
Spell it.
Kitty?
I thought it was cattywampus. I think it's cattywampus.
Is it cattywampus, kittywampus?
But look, here's the deal. We got South Carolina and Georgia, so I don't know. We're not doing a spelling bee here, guys. That's just not going to work.
I think Kitty...
you said you were going to do that. Garrett Maines, so this is just the end on the racetrack. Garrett Maines, I do believe, just took a green flag pit stop. That's putting Jason Maines up to 3rd now.
I think cattywampus is singular. Kittywampus is plural.
Oh.
Well, you can't spell it in either version, so...
I know. I'm asking you guys to spell stuff I never use. I try not to use words that I can't spell.
Garrett Main's going down pretty early, considering the rest of the top two, only on 50 laps and 48 laps on their tires. I'm curious, does Garrett Maines know something that we don't?
Well,
Well,
plus being the fact that he actually was the late pitter on the previous 2 cautions. So, or I meant green flag pit stop. So yeah, that is definitely interesting.
well, or his dad reminded him who pays the bills in that house.
Well, I don't know. I mean, Garrett Maines, being a Coke Series driver, I'm sure he's able to help out with the bills a little bit.
You watch that name. If you're a follower, follow that name, Garrett Maines. You'll see him. Hell, I would even dare say I'd see him in a NASCAR series someday here, because that kid can drive.
It was Maines that was the late pitter, right?
No, that was Dylan Alt that was the late pitter. Garrett Maines, I think, we went a little bit earlier than the rest of the guys. So, but still, though, not within that, not really draining the tank out. That's what I'm saying. I think maybe his math, the guys that he has behind the scenes that are, working, the crew chief, maybe figured something out, to get him up front when it comes to pit strategy. Because I think that's what this is all going to come down to.
Yeah, he doesn't need anybody behind him. That kid is a genius. He probably figured out something, because he did half this race already. He probably figured out something on his own, and he's just going to do it, because it looks like we're going to go green. He'll probably, I'm not really a betting man, but I would dare say that what he just did is probably going to put him in the lead.
That's what this race is all going to come down to. It's all going to come down to decisions. All 3 of these drivers that are, pro world class, they all have the ability to win this race, but it's not about the ability, it's about the decisions that you make.
It's that pit stop, the right pit stop. That's the most important thing, and even the real racing. If your pit stop really sucks, you're going to suck on a track, I guarantee you.
Yeah, that's one thing that we talk about a lot. You go out here, you could be so good racing. You could be the best racer ever on the actual racetrack. But if you don't practice and, spend time working out how to do green flag pit stops, you're going to fail every single time. Just because, it's so important. There's not a lot of room for error when it comes to a green flag pit stop. It's so easy to speed. Only one, a couple mile an hour faster than you should be entering, that pit road could cause you to do a 40-second hold.
There's been just as many races lost on pit road as there's been won.
Exactly. It is so important to make sure you get that right. You slide through your box, have to kick it in reverse. Even just, that could lose you a couple seconds. Doesn't sound like a big deal. Doesn't sound like a big deal, right?
Look, and it even the best drivers all can mess up on pit road. So the fact that we're talking about this, I think that's where we're going to find our little Bitcoin.
Yeah, that's definitely where we'll probably find our winner here, or the person that loses because of that. So you can definitely see the difference. We were talking about earlier about Al Kozlowski, how much faster he was on the newer tires. You look at Garrett Maines. He's a second faster than his father right now, just because of the new tires. And look how close. Just look how close he was just to that wall. That was millimeters separating his car and the wall.
Yeah, if you go in-car, I'm in-car right now with Garrett Maines. Just watch how smooth he is with that wheel. But you can tell the roughest parts of the track. You watch, he's sawing back and forth when he comes off his turn. But he is on that line, and then he's right in that wall. Smooth on the wheel.
And super close. I don't see how you can be that close to the wall and not hit it. I just don't trust myself enough.
Well, these guys have, we've got the hobbyists out here, and then you got the pros that they probably put in a, 5, 6, 7 hour day, 7 days a week behind this wheel. And that's what you're seeing right now. Malik Ray and probably Dylan Alt and Garrett Maines. I know Jason has got employment, so he's not out there doing that, but this is the big difference you got right here, and this is their career that they want to do, and they're getting paid to do this, and they're showing why they get paid to do it right now.
green flag pit stop should be happening any time here for Malik Ray. He's now just crossed the line in 60 laps into his run. And Dylan Alt has started catching back up to him again. Running a little bit quicker laps. Curious to see how this is all going to play out. As any time now, we're going to see that 7 car probably dip down pit road.
I mean, with Garrett, he's clutching this thing a lot. I mean, and that's probably what's helping these guys is they got a clutch. That's a smart way to do it.
Probably trying to save gas. Probably.
No, if you clutch it, it takes the momentum off the front of the car and kind of sits the car down in the front. So he's able to hug that line in these corners that way.
And also probably does, double-edged sword of saving that fuel too. I mean, because, if you're able to somehow, take a pit stop away, saving probably might be worth it.
Yeah, it's a whole lot better. The way this weight shifts in this car, it's a lot better for them to be clutch it because it doesn't give such a dramatic pull and push a lot of the weight to the front of the car. So clutching, it's pretty smart. I never thought about doing that. I know later in this run, they're probably shifting as well. I don't know if you guys have noticed that.
Oh, almost some contact there. Jason Maines and Dylan Alt there. As Maines has taken his green flag pit stop. Man, they got really close to having some contact there.
Yeah, I don't think the Coke Series drivers ever announce when they're pitting, so they're so used to not announcing it. And in an A open or anything like that, in order for us not to get ran over, we announce it.
No, his hand was out the window.
Was it? Was his hand or was just a finger?
Oh, yeah.
Malik on pit road.
Leader pit road.
Malik Ray taking a trip down pit road here. As you can see, Dylan Alt going to take the lead. And Malik was on 62 laps on his stint there. So going a little bit early. As we're now 2:31 into this race.
Here's a theory that I never thought about, but I'll just put it out there. Remember we talked about the draft earlier, how you can use a car and pull yourself along this track to gain a better position? I wonder if Garrett didn't want to be behind Dylan or Malik pushing them. He just decided I'll get away from them and let the lap cars pull me around.
Definitely could be the case here, as Garrett Maines, of course, is a lap down right now. He is in front of Malik Ray, so his pit stop definitely helped him make that happen. I do believe they're separated by 3 seconds right now. Malik Ray has made his way back onto the racetrack. But the tire difference is going to be huge here.
When it all settles out, that 3 seconds is huge,
But looking like tire wear definitely coming into play here too, though. I mean, you see Malik Ray, he's coming out on fresh tires. Maines has been on pit road for quite a while, or, has pitted quite a while ago. As I do believe Dylan Alt take the trip down pit road.
So watch the lap times between Malik Ray and Garrett Maines. See what they look like here.
Well, Malik has really been catching up to Garrett here. 1.5 seconds now separate these guys. I mean, the lap time difference is 1 second.
Yeah, these guys are a lot better than I am. If I had a lap car up in front of me like this and I knew that my competition was coming, I would get right next to my lap car and kind of spook him up, go up a little bit, scare him so he clips the wall and wrecks. I mean, Malik is just walking away. Look at how fast he comes in.
He has already caught Garrett Maines here. It did not take long at all. And he's going to pass him like he's standing still.
Yeah, well, that means Dylan. Watch when Dylan comes out. What is he going to do?
I mean, not that many laps difference for Dylan, though. So I don't know if it's going to be quite as dramatic.
Look at Dylan is 8.5 seconds back. Let's see if he can close that gap.
That's definitely going to be something if he can. Here, see, I think he will at least be able to close the gap on Garrett Maines. That's for sure.
That's a large feat. That's a quarter of the track that he's behind here.
When you look at the lap time, or not lap time difference, the actual tire difference here between Malik Ray and Dylan here, it's about 3 or 4 laps. So is that enough?
So now let's take a look at the track temperature now, as well as the outside temperature, as the lights are on the racetrack. So now, guys, this is a totally different track than it was once that green flag waved initially in the race. So now these guys are definitely, now they got to figure out this car under these conditions, you know, with tires and fuel.
Yeah, lap times are probably gonna drop off here. I think they would be faster during the daytime. Colder track, I don't know if they're gonna get that much grip on it. We've never been on this track before with this car, so I don't know what it's gonna act like.
Yeah, looks like that wind and looks like the track temperature and the air temperature still pretty much staying the same. So that will definitely be in the favor of the drivers. But the lights are on Charlotte Motor Speedway, like I said. So that means we have transitioned to the night part of the race. We got 163 laps remaining in this thing, and looks like we got 4 cars on the lead lap. Our leader right now is Malika Ray in the number 7 car with Garrett Maines, sorry. Maines. And
I thought you was having a stroke there for a minute, Big Al, but oh no.
I tell you what, why don't we just take a commercial break right there for a second?
There are moments that surprise and delight the mind and the senses. Introducing Sound Art, the world's first truly customizable, concealed, flat panel art speaker system. A revolutionary combination of incredible sound delivered from your most meaningful pictures. When art and technology intersect, there is a seamless blend of creativity and function.
I'm alive in the streetlight, pulling at the stars in the moonlight. Every time I feel you close.
With Sound Art, anyone can print their own artwork or pick from numerous licensed artwork that we have. The possibilities are limitless. Enjoy beautiful and amazing sound throughout your home. The entire surface of your artwork generates incredibly robust sound. Your art never sounded so good.
And we are back, and just to rest our voices here, we're going to go ahead and take a nice rotation through the cockpit camera here for a lot of these drivers here, just to show what they're dealing with as this race unfolds here. We'll be back in just a little bit here. We are back. We appreciate you guys giving us a chance to rest our voices there, and race still going on. Garrett Maines just hit the wall while we were taking our little break there. Definitely slowed him down quite a bit here. Looks like Jason Maines actually starting to catch him here, as he actually just went a lap down. So what you guys thinking about how that damage is affecting Garrett Maines?
I don't know if it's going to be enough to keep him from third place. I mean, I think he'll still be in the money, but hey, we still got 140 laps left.
I mean, looking at the times here, Jason Maines, 31.1 last time by, versus Garrett Maines is 31.4. So I mean that's enough. I mean, we still got quite enough laps, left to go. But I mean, of course, when these guys do pit, I do believe they have one fast repair in the bank here, right?
Yeah, but the problem with that
they have
fast
one fast
repair,
repair.
the problem with that fast repair though, you got to use it, so. So
You have to actually pit here. Yeah.
Well, I got a question, because in order to use the fast repair, you simply, you turn off your tires, you turn off your fuel. And then you get a car that has 4 fresh tires and that's fully fueled.
Well, no, the way a fast repair, you have to make sure you click that, turn it off or on.
Right.
So, you still have to actually take the set of tires.
Okay.
Yeah, I just used my fast repair. I sat on pit road and left my car running, and it overheated. So I think I'm gonna come out and run another 60 laps. I guess take 6th place.
I mean, hey, nothing wrong with that. Still enough time for you to make, hay while the sun shines, I guess.
Well, yeah, and the thing is that 31 car continues to strike that outside ball. So it's interesting to note, these guys started the race when the sun was up, and they were running that high line. Now, they're sitting and they try to run that same line here now that the sun's gone down, and it's definitely in the case of the 31, it sucked his car up, and that's definitely going to affect the way that car handles from this point on. But he's still up there riding that high wall, so we thought that was going to happen, and it actually did.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and the more he hits that wall, the worse that condition is going to get. As he, gets really close to it once again, and it definitely compounds. I mean, you hit that wall, could definitely knock out the toe. I mean, these chassis on these race cars are very tough, but the components underneath are not.
That is absolutely correct. There's Dylan Alt now, continuing to put down a blistering lap times. He's actually the fastest car on the racetrack at this point. Somewhat faster than the leader just a little bit, but every little bit's gonna add up. Now,
That it will.
Yeah, looks like we're showing now 3 cars on the lead lap, with Jason Maines being 1 lap down, being shown in 4th.
And Jason Maines still showing a lot of pace, though. I mean, he's still starting to catch up here to Garrett Maines. Now 14.8 seconds separate them, so he has been steadily driving his way closer and closer to his son here. And you can even see, for some of these camera angles, looking at Garrett Maines' race car, I mean, there is considerable right side damage.
Yeah, absolutely. And so now we're showing actually 6 cars on the racetrack at this time. Al Koslowski, Robert Pattengill, Jason Maines, Garrett Maines, Dylan Alt, and Malik Ray, your leader right now.
Yeah, Malik Ray looking like he's trying to get the money here. As we see Robert Pattengill. I mean, once again, huge shout out to Robert Pattengill. Got a 3rd place finish last night. Has been putting in quite a bit of work. I mean, just evolving as a race car driver. Like you said earlier, I mean, a lot of these guys are going to want to challenge themselves against these pros, to see where they stack up.
Yeah, the bragging rights are there. Not only, I won, $200, whatever it is, but the bragging rights to me are that you've got to race against these Coke Series pros that, unless you've got a high enough I rating, you're not going to be running against. And if you beat them, That's hella bragging rights, you know? Doesn't matter the whole story if they wrecked out and you beat them that way. Who cares? I mean, you beat them. A win's a win. You can back into them all day long. Ask Kyle Busch.
A win is a win, and that's what kills me when people say, well, you won. Yeah, but you just should stop when you say I won. Doesn't matter how you win. You had to be available at the last lap when the flag was waved and be in first place, right, guys? That's what it takes.
Well, that's 100%. What qualifies you.
And looking at even the, just taking a look at the I ratings here, I mean, we see Malik Ray has a 6,000 and a 4 I rating. You got second place right now. Dylan, he has 8,021. And looking at Garrett Maines, 9,116. So I mean, these are some of the highest I rating guys in the service, and to be Robert Pattengale, he has 2,067. And he's still managing to finish, or could manage to finish 5th here. Even looking further back in the field, guys that didn't even finish this race.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Looking at, Justin Levine, I do believe. I believe he has 6,000, or who am I looking at? 6,000, someone back there. So, I mean, that's got to be a huge thing to be able to finish against, finish ahead of someone that has that high I rate.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I tell you, these guys had it figured out right from the jump, and I wish I'd have figured out that they're clutching these corners instead of lifting, because that's a huge difference.
So is that something you've tried yourself, and it seems like it works really well? Is that something that you're actually trying right now that's actually working for you, Al?
Yeah, I'm actually doing it. I mean, I'm not going to try to pass Dylan because he is in second place, and I'd be afraid that I'd do something and wreck him, But it's a huge difference.
That's something I don't think anybody would ever think to do except for these guys. I mean, they know all the tricks.
Yeah, they definitely do. I mean, there's no drag on your engine, so.
I mean, you're able to keep that engine RPM up.
I was wondering why they were redlining when they were going into the corner.
And could it be that, they weren't really shifting, or could they have been shifting? But, I mean, it's kind of looking at that, when you see that red line go up like that, it makes you think they are shifting. So, I mean, could we be wrong completely? I can't wait, to be honest with you, to talk to these guys. And, I know they're probably not going to want to give away their secrets, but still, I am interested to see what, they say.
Yeah, they are not shifting. I can tell you that right now. They're just getting into the corner a little deeper than the normal guy would, who has to lift, and they're clutching it. There's less drag on the engine, so the weight transfer is not happening. So they're clutching it. They're able to coast through those corners really good and stay at a pretty decent speed.
That's definitely very interesting. I'm sure that even, not having that weight transfer probably lends to less tire wear too.
Oh, absolutely.
31 car Garrett Maines has just completed a pit stop. Now we got the 911 on pit stop, so we are in that window for green flag pit stops. So once again, and once again, we cannot reiterate, even though these guys are pros, even the pros sometimes make mistakes. So perfect is perfect. So we're going to see if these guys roll through this next wave of pit stops perfectly, and that should leave us with just 2 green flag pit stops remaining, if I'm correct there, Tony.
Yeah, I do believe you're probably right. I mean, I think Malik Ray and Dylan I think they might be able to get away with just one more stop. Or no, yeah, but I think you're right. Two stops for sure. As Dylan has been really clawing back a lot of time here. 4.5 seconds now separate him and Malik Ray. But still, overall, though, when it comes to pit strategy, I think Malik has the right call here. He has been steadily on these green flag pit stops. Every time he comes out, he's able to pull away from the rest of the competition here. As now we're on lap 281. And man, this has been quite a long race, even for us up here in the booth. I mean, we're not the ones having to physically go out there and race. These guys are definitely putting in, the work. They're the ones that are actually turning these laps. I mean, imagine that, going around this racetrack 400 times.
Yeah, that is a daunting task, but I must give it up for, Big Al, because the jaw exercises, the words, just going through different words, the enunciations of the names. I mean, I've seen this guy putting in the work in the mirror before one of these events, and he might have messed up a couple of words today, but I'm going to tell you, he's still, he's jawing on it.
You got split personality, Big Al?
Apparently, he's like talking about himself in the third person here.
I'm confused.
Oh, sorry, I didn't know I hit the button there.
You didn't take your medicine?
That's a HIPAA violation there, Al.
Oh, my bad.
No, but it has been actually an awesome race, and now we are definitely racing in the dark. Malik has still got the lead. He's showing the way, but Jason is just right behind him, and Dylan Alt is actually second place.
Yeah, definitely a big difference there, finishing second versus third. I mean, you get $75 if you finish in second place. I mean, third place, 25. You get your money back, but I mean, do you want to spend this much time racing on this racetrack, 600 miles, and you only get your money back plus $10? I mean, think about that. I mean, I want to feel like I got, paid to spend all this time.
I want to win.
Is there only 2 cars on the lead lap right now?
There is.
They're cycling through green flag pit stops. Maines just came down and he pitted. So we're now waiting on the leader and Dylan to pit as well.
And should be pitting any time for these guys. Looking at the lap that these guys have put on their tires, of course, Malik Ray right now, 55 laps on in this stint. Dylan definitely has 52 laps on his tires right now. Jason Maines probably going to be the first one to pit here, considering he has 61 on his tires. Of course, the big question here is, how's this going to work out towards the end when it comes to fuel? I mean, I think this whole race, these guys have spent, the majority of it probably doing some math in their head. When is the best time to come down pit road? When is the best time? Do you want to finish this race with a full fuel run to go to the end, or do you want to have newer tires towards the end?
Yep, the 9 cars on pit road now. So Jason Maines now coming in to complete his 5th pit stop of the evening.
Going to get himself a set of Goodyear Eagles on that machine.
Oh, and some of that very precious. And the smell of Sunoco racing fuel. Am I right, guys?
Oh, absolutely. That burning fuel, that's a smell. If you've never smelled it before, you'll never forget it when you do.
Yeah, 100%. And one thing about these next-gen cars, I mean, having been at the Darlington race on last Sunday, these cars don't have as much of the smell that you saw in the Gen 6.
Well, I think the emissions is a little bit, we got a new president and everything. He put
oh, Lord,
converters
please,
on
let's
them,
not do it. Come on now. Come on. Al Kozlowski, everybody.
We're green. We want to go green. We'll be racing Teslas here in a couple of years.
Oh, man. I'd love that because, I mean, those Teslas are fast. They have such a good, torque just because of the electric motors on those cars.
I'm still going to put big speakers and have the sound of a hot rod blaring out of that thing.
You have to. I mean, the sound is like half of it. I mean, I want to hear the sounds of these race cars.
Imagine a bunch of Teslas sound like a whole bunch of flies just passing you.
More like golf carts.
But Garrett Maines, of course, we didn't mention that, but he did get that fast repair. That car looking clean right now.
Yeah, that's an awesome opportunity to take advantage of that. You know, you come in, and that's what it's there for, Brian. And you've got that fast repair just for that reason. So I think most guys should have used them if they haven't used them up by now. That's really going to probably play a little bit more of advantage as this thing rolls on into the wee hours of the morning.
Definitely rolling in for sure. We have made quite a dent though. I mean, we talked about it earlier. We haven't even scratched the surface. This is a long race, but we have made a big dent. I mean, we are 292 laps into this 400 lap race. I mean, I didn't think we'd ever get here. I mean, what a race it has been so far. I mean, we were able to see this masterclass of these guys. I mean, it just shows that the talent level from this top three has been just really something to behold.
Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, the top three have actually had the lion's share of the lead as well.
Well, of course they have. We saw some guys definitely make some very good efforts. I mean, I kind of harken back to Justin Levine. Definitely was one that was putting a lot of pressure on a lot of these drivers. Of course, I think that Noah Bitts might have done a little bit better if he had stuck with it. But of course, getting loose and hitting that inside wall early in this event definitely caused a lot of problems for him. And I think a lot of these guys could have challenged these drivers. But I think that really what we see from these pro drivers is just their consistency and the seat time that they have in their careers that has allowed them to limit those mistakes.
Oh yeah, you're not getting to an 8,000, 9,000 I rating just as a hobby racer here. I'll tell you that.
Malik Ray down pit road. And what a smooth stop. Man, I mean, these guys know exactly what they're doing when they're coming down pit road. I mean, Malik, we saw other guys kind of like, lock the tires up, get a little tire smoke. Malik was just smooth as butter getting on pit road there.
Yeah, he definitely had the valet parking mode on.
I almost feel like he had cruise control turned on for that one, just automatic. We talk about Teslas. I mean, those cars can park themselves. I think he might have had some, some of that.
Robert Pattingale also with a stellar pit performance as well, guys. Yeah, hopefully we don't let him go unnoticed as he just came out of pit road there just over 50.
Kind of let Malik go there, which was interesting to see.
Well, he still has the lion's share of fifth place, so I don't think he's in contention with anybody else right now.
No, not at all. I mean, but still, even with being a little bit, we talk about those pro drivers. It's kind of intimidating to even drive around them. Some guys kind of feel that way. I mean, I know me. If I was having to race against these guys, I mean, my anxiety level would be pretty high. So I would want to let these guys go. To maybe even their detriment. I mean, I've seen it. I mean, I've done it plenty of times. I've actually been on the same track with some really, really talented drivers, and I've known their reputation.
Yeah,
it forces you, to make mistakes.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, you were even a little starstruck when you came up here with Big Al.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean,
he definitely started using bigger words.
Sorry about that. I just thought it would be funny.
No, but you know what I'm saying, though? I mean, like, you coming off of pit road, and this guy has been tried. I mean, just like we were saying, these guys have turned so many laps. They are tried and true when it comes to their abilities. Dylan Alt down pit road.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Pattingale and the leader both had similar pit times, but yeah, it's awesome of Pattingale to yield and let him go. But just for the fact that he's still in this thing, that's just pretty awesome on that drop.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, he's 7 laps down right now. But still, hanging on in fifth. I mean, everyone else has, called it quits. I mean, there's something to be said about that. As we see, like I said, Dylan Alt, he took his trip down pit road. And Malik Ray, of course, back on to the racetrack. And I believe he has taken back the lead here. as he is actually catching up to Jason Maines here. Going to be trying to put him a lap down.
Yeah, I don't think that I don't think it's going to be as easy as he might want it to be.
Yeah, could we see some problems here? But it looks like no problems at all. Is Malik Ray able to get side by side with Jason Maines?
Well, that was a very gentlemanly thing to do.
And now we're on lap 300. So now 100 laps to go. And now we are 3/4 of the way through this race. I mean, who knew we would be, you know, definitely still a lot of racing left to go, though. Anytime something could go wrong. I mean, think about this, though, guys. We're talking about up here in the broadcast booth, you know, having to rest our voices. We're having to, oh man, this is rough having to do this long of a broadcast. But imagine this from the point of view of the drivers out there. These guys are still there's no way. I mean, they're getting any kind of rest when it comes to these green flag pit stops. I mean, it is not easy. You have to have focus every bit of this race. I mean, I think the whole 400 laps, these guys are going to have to be focused and not, lose that focus.
Absolutely, Brian. They have to be razor sharp into what's going on because, as we talked about, there's no place on this racetrack to take a breather, if you will. You let your guard down in 1 second, and then you are alone for the ride.
Yeah, you're hitting that wall. You're having problems. I mean, you're you don't want to see that for sure. As Dylan Alt starting to catch up here to Garrett Maines on a little bit on some fresher tires. Of course, Garrett Maines is on a different pit sequence than the rest of the top three. And looking at the lap time difference, I mean, Dylan Alt right now a second faster.
Yeah, interesting to note, Maines is on a different pit cycle. He's almost got 30 laps on his tires as the other leaders are just going through their pit cycle. So, eventually these guys are going to have to start to close that up a little bit because as we get into the fourth quarter of the fourth quarter, that's when it's really going to start to get a little bit, tighter. Right, guys? It's going to have to be we're going to have a go time at some point.
Yeah, I think they're all going right now. I mean, we're only going to have 2 more pit stops here, and I don't know. Right now, they're 50-50. If you split them right in half, I don't think there's anything that can be done besides the caution coming out that could bunch this field back together.
Yeah, I don't know if that's going to actually happen. I mean, looking at Malik Ray and Dylan Alt, I don't think they're going to have 2 more pit stops. I think only 1 is going to be necessary for those guys. But Garrett Maines might be in that 2-stop category. But I think that he's probably smart enough that he probably has made those decisions. He knows when he pitted and has done the math correctly. But I mean, we are on that, to where we're going to have only probably 1 pit stop left. I mean, if the 65 lap run holds true, which I think we've had enough time here in this 600-mile race, I think we know that they could probably make 65 laps. It's a pretty accurate,
Yeah. They all should be mostly completed this last pit cycle, I think, with the exception of 1. And then, you're right. That should 1 more pit stop, and then that'll be it.
And, that is going to be truly the money pit stop. That's not going to be the stop that you want to make a mistake on. That's for dang sure.
And then we can speak, the question is, does that stop come, how much later in the run does that stop come? Are you stopping with, 30 to go? You want to be as close to that low number, I believe, as possible.
I don't know if they're going to be able to stop at 30 to go. I mean, that's
it's an arbitrary number. I'm saying,
yeah.
At this point, you're going to want to stay out to the long end of this pit sequence, so that way you'll be able to run as hard and fast as you can for the last run.
No, I think that's right. I mean, even though they're not going to be a stop 30 laps to go, I mean, do you split it up to where you only go 50 and 50? just considering, Malik Ray, he's like 14 laps on this stint here. So I would expect to see him probably down pit road, probably 350, something like that. Unless he has a different, idea. And we've seen Dylan Alt, he's been one that has gone a little bit further into these stops. So, could that be something we see from him, waiting a little bit longer? I mean, he definitely has had that trend, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's going to be this is the only decision they get to make now, pretty much to the end of this thing is, when am I going to come?
Now here comes Garrett.
Garrett Maines is back down pit road again.
A lap 310. He's calling it.
Oh, no. That is going to give Jason Maines third place. Oh, my word.
Yeah, I think something drastic.
That is quite a decision there. And that is going to probably put Robert Pattengale up to fourth.
Yeah, Garrett's going to run NIS, he says.
Oh, my word. That's going to put him out of the money. Man, what a call there.
Yeah, we look at the big picture. I mean, Garrett's NIS is a points race, and so he has to choose exactly which one means the most to him, and NIS was it.
Yeah, apparently so here. Because that's going to give his father, some money here. So, I mean, it probably didn't hurt him too bad. I mean,
well, let's look at a big picture here. If Jason Maines, something happened to Jason Maines, Robert Pattengale would be in the money. And that's, endurance.
it could happen. I mean, it could happen, too.
Yeah.
And wouldn't that be something? Robert Pattengale finishing third 2 days in a row.
And that's why we have to run all of the laps, because you just never know what's going to happen.
Well, fellas, I think with that, let's take a quick step away. What do you think?
There are moments that surprise and delight the mind and the senses. Introducing Sound Art, the world's first truly customizable, concealed, flat panel art speaker system. A revolutionary combination of incredible sound delivered from your most meaningful pictures. When art and technology intersect, there is a seamless blend of creativity and function.
I'm alive in the streetlight, pulling at the stars in the moonlight. Every time I feel you close.
With Sound Art, anyone can print their own artwork or pick from numerous licensed artwork that we have. The possibilities are limitless. Enjoy beautiful and amazing sound throughout your home. The entire surface of your artwork generates incredibly robust sound. Your art never sounded so good.
And we are back. Malik Ray right now still out in front. Dylan Alt trying to catch up here. He is running quite a bit faster, though. Almost actually 2/10 quicker to be exact here. But is it going to equate to enough? I mean, we're soon to have 80 laps to go when we cross the line in just a couple laps. What are you guys feeling about this? Do you think, Dylan Alt's going to be maybe catch up here? I don't know. It's kind of a mountain to climb here, but I know that Jason Maines now is in the money.
Yeah, I highly doubt that Dylan Alt is going to catch Malik Ray unless Malik catches lap traffic and makes a drastic mistake here.
Yeah, not a lot of lap traffic to really catch. Just considering, I mean, this has definitely been a race of attrition. I mean, this has been one race where if you survive, you will advance. I mean, I think Robert Pattengale definitely evidence of that as he is up to 4th place now.
Well, Robert Pattengale, definitely no slouch here tonight, as he has proven that you, once again, that you come out here and you persevere, you can press on. I mean, he is definitely putting on a good show for him because, like we said, it doesn't matter where you start in this thing or how many people drop out. It's just where they put your name at amongst the who's who once this thing is over. And he's keeping some pretty good company tonight here, guys.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, you see Robert Pattengale right now up to 4th. I mean, I would be sharing that on my, social media. So I beat Garrett Baines,
Yeah.
Absolutely. I just thought about that.
It is what it is. I mean, but he gets those bragging rights, right?
He definitely does.
It doesn't matter how you beat him. You beat him.
You lasted him. You outlasted him.
That's why
It's just like a boxing match. I mean, you could be really good in the first round, but if you're not good at round, 15,
There's not 15 rounds in a boxing match.
There used to be, I do believe.
There's 12.
I'd have a real short career.
It used to be a lot longer boxing matches back then. But no, you're right, bro. I think it is. You said it's 12 now, right?
Yeah, 12 rounds.
Yeah.
Well, either way, you got to go to long distance. You got to go to distance.
I think
Absolutely. You can't win it if you're not there at the end,
It'd be a lot shorter career in boxing versus racing. Because the racing, you think about it, there's a lot of professional drivers that never won a race. There's professional drivers that won one race. Look, the Daytona 500, right? So these guys spend 2 decades, chasing that carrot, So yeah, it's a lot to have your name up there. This could be one of those pivotal moments, if you will.
I was just watching Malik Ray a little bit in the corners here. Got really, really, really close to that wall. I think there's a little bit of a tight condition starting to form with that first place driver.
Yeah, Keselowski said it earlier. He said either the car was going to get extremely tight or it was going to get extremely loose. So we're seeing Malik still getting that number 7 Ford able to rotate through those corners just as fast as he still was the fastest driver on that track last lap. So it's starting to look more and more like he's racing to talk to us here tonight. And I think it's going to be very few things that are going to keep that from happening, guys.
Yeah, I don't know what the track temp started out at, but we're at 74 degrees right now. And we can't forget that every driver on here, and I'm speaking for all of them, I probably shouldn't do that, but they haven't driven this car on this racetrack with a fixed setup. If they've been on this track, more than likely they've been in an open setup where they can adjust it to make it handle just fine. So right now, this is new territory to them. They've got to figure out how this car is going to handle.
Yeah, that's what I said earlier. The only thing they can really adjust at this point is their driving style. Track is going to change. Everything around them's changing, right, guys?
Yeah, for sure, 100%. I mean, you see the lights are on. Of course, it's dark outside. I definitely want to give a huge shout out to Bill Malfield. I mean, we talk about Robert Pattengale, up to 4th now. He, when all said and done, he's going to get up to 5th here, and it's all been because he's determined to stay out here.
Absolutely. And he
makes a lot of sense. I mean, the thing is about it, we talked about him having the military livery there. Excuse me. We talked about him having the military livery. That just shows, what he definitely is showing that military spirit right now. Those guys don't quit. Wouldn't you say, Big Al?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, Concerto, everything that you just said, he is definitely showing that spirit that we see in so many of our veterans as well as our first responders. That's kind of the whole adage that kind of, in my opinion, keeps this country going. Is those people that are out there, the nurses, the firemen, the policemen, the service members that just keep this thing rolling because they put themselves in harm's way, for others, and that's what makes it great.
Yeah, definitely something to be admired to see this guy out here, sticking with it. Tackling the whole 400 laps here, the whole 600 miles. That's one thing. Many of the guys I've known, the Marines, or they don't quit. That's not something that happens. I mean, you just don't quit. I mean, that's something they teach you. Teach you.
Yeah, quitting is really not an option. I mean, if the mentality is we are the last line of defense, so if you take that and apply to everything that you do, there's no doubt that you will be successful. There's a lot of past military members as well as firefighters who've gone on to be great entrepreneurs because of that spirit of not quitting. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I mean, a lot of those guys, they get sleep when they can, but I mean, a lot of times they go with no sleep. They don't, there's nothing you can do. I mean, and I think that's what, we talked about. I mean, I hate to bring it back to this, but the whole restroom, thought, and, being hungry and, things like that, wanting to get something to drink, anything like that. Like, those guys are able to weather that storm and keep going.
Well, if you get in the in-car and take an in-car camera view with Jason Maines, you'll see that he's decided that he wants to shift, and you think that's going to help him a little bit here. And it seems like it's keeping his car handling fine. He shifts down to 4th gear in the turns and back up to 5th on the straightaways here.
Yeah, we rode him a little bit earlier, and he was doing that, but for whatever reason, those guys, we had a couple guys that were shifting. It seems they weren't shifting on every lap, but now that it's getting darker here, I'm wondering if they are shifting to actually keep that car in control a little more.
Definitely could be the case. I mean, just considering, like you said, the conditions changing. I mean, it's almost, getting to where it is dark. It is nighttime. And I always wanted to talk about it earlier. I mean, think about this, guys. I mean, whenever you were coming up through the iRacing ranks, you did the street stocks at Charlotte, right? I mean, you guys probably all did that to get through the ranks.
Yeah, that was my first win.
Well, think about this. You heard it at nighttime, right? When you're running in the daytime in the street stocks, you had to live.
Yeah, you're right.
So, I think that could be applied here.
Yeah, I think it just truly does go to show how, because Al, you just said this a little bit ago, but these guys started this race a long time ago, and I don't think we can stress enough. That's why people are like, you just said that, but we're saying it because it just shows how much these guys have had to adapt here today, and look at the attrition rate even of the race. I mean, we lost a quarter of the racers, so yeah, it does speak testimony. It speaks in volumes about these guys out here.
Willpower.
Getting this done tonight.
Yeah, it speaks volumes to the willpower. I mean, like, it's not easy to complete a race like this. I mean, we see, the majority of the people that have tried to tackle this tonight have not made it. I mean, it's almost like Mount Everest, right? I mean, it really is. It's like Mount Everest.
And think about it now, like the track temp is now almost the same as the air temp, which, we had a huge disparity when we started this thing. Now we're looking at a track temperature of 74 degrees and the outside temperature 71 degrees. So yeah, that's a totally different car, even a different experience. So as we get down to the last, with 64 laps to go on this thing, the drivers are actually having to drive this car completely different than they did at the first 64.
Yeah, man, and imagine actually having to try to drive this car differently. Adapt to the situation after you're already tired. You know, you've already, mentally you are drained. Physically, you're probably drained. You know, imagine having to deal with that and also adapt.
Absolutely.
Well, I know there's a purse money at stake here, but I bet you a lot more of these drivers are staying in here and trying to have the endurance side of this for bragging rights, you know, because now, like you said, we got Robert Pattingale, who legitimately can show proof that he beat Garrett Maines at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Absolutely.
I mean, Malik Ray, he can say, look, if he wins here, that is, I beat Dylan Alt, you know, by 7 seconds. You know, the money's not a huge issue. It's the bragging rights to this.
Yeah, I want the bragging rights and I want the money. I want it all. I mean, that's it. Well, I'm not gonna lie to you. I mean, that's
No, I get you. I mean, definitely, even just to say that, you completed 400 laps, 600 miles. You did all of it. You did not get a did not finish. I did all of it. You know what I mean? That's what you want to be able to tell people,
Well, you've got, like I said, Bill Muffield and Robert Pattingale. They're not going to do all 400 laps because they're laps down. But they're going to have the bragging rights to say, look, I beat somebody that had 2 times, 3 times, 4 times my I rating. I beat him.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Jason, Robert Pattingale, even though he's 8 laps down right now, I mean, he almost got 400 miles and he didn't quit.
8 laps down with this crowd is no small feat, though. I mean, let's just say that for everybody that's out there, that's awesome. I mean, they've done the do so far with 60 laps to go in this thing. I mean, we started this some 3 hours ago, and these guys are still rolling around here with probably yet another solid hour left in this thing before we can actually put it in the books and call it official. So I mean, just hats off to them to be able to sit in the seat to turn those laps because, we said it 100 times. You don't get a mental break at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. You have to be physically in tune with every lap that you're running here.
Well, I'll tell you what, guys. I feel like at the end of this race, we ought to give these guys, maybe play 2 commercials, let them go run to the restroom before we interview them. What do you think?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. I think it'll be a well-deserved bathroom break, and it'll allow those interviews to go a whole lot smoother here.
Yeah, because you never know what they're going to be thinking, under that duress.
Yeah, I've ran this 2 times so far. I've ran this Coke 600, and it's no fun. I mean, I've raced it and stuck it all out, and these guys at least are going to get enough money to go buy them some Preparation H because this is such I mean, it's a pain, boy.
I mean, I bet. I mean, sitting in that seat that long, I mean, I'm sure, there's probably going to be a little bit of bruising on that butt.
Well, I spent a lot of time in my sim racing rig. And I'll say that the seat is probably the number one thing that you actually want to put thought into because when you're actually doing sim racing, the equipment that you're utilizing is you gotta make yourself comfortable. You're not going to even be able to run a 600-mile lap if you don't have the right equipment, the right hardware. So I'd love to hear what some of these guys and sometimes you're pretty amazed to see some of these guys' setups.
Yeah, some of them may be sitting at their kitchen table, hardwood chair.
Yeah, you never know. I mean, I've seen guys, that have to travel for work and bring their sim rig with them, and they, kind of attach it to whatever they got in the hotel room, Yeah,
I quit work because I couldn't find a job that would allow me to sim race as much as I wanted.
There was a guy used to be with us at G&G. He was a truck driver. And he would race inside of his rig, He'd take his rig inside of his rig. And he'd pull to a rest area for the night, and he'd pull it out and put the little TV up on a dash of his truck. And I don't know what he hooked the steering wheel to, but he had it all set up, and he would be racing in his semi.
Yeah, absolutely. If you have an addiction for it or an affinity for it, I won't use addiction because that would, I'm not trying to make light of it. But
I mean there's a cure.
Yeah, if you enjoy it, there's no shortage of things that you can do. And even for people that are looking at this and saying, man, I would like to get into that, there's all sorts of avenues that you could take to get into the world of sim racing.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you call it an addiction, but I mean, those guys that spend, you got to say that there's something to that. Whenever those guys that spend all day driving, if you're riding, driving a semi 18 wheeler, and what you want to do on your downtime is sim race. I mean, there's something to
Absolutely.
that.
And you could get into this. I mean, for full setup, membership, and everything, you could probably get a rig for under $1,000. But some of these, it's an addiction, in my opinion, because you get to a point where you want more and more and more. You want more speed. You want more wins. You get addicted to the adrenaline rush of it, and then you'll end up
Dopamine.
spending thousands of dollars on different rigs.
All right, leaders on pit road. Well, not the leader, but the 9 cars on pit road. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I would characterize it as an addiction. I mean, considering watching these pro level drivers, I mean, I'm sure that whenever they first started, they had no clue that it was going to be, their profession.
Well, I'm going to tell you the truth. When I got into sim racing, I had no clue the journey that I was going to take, the people that I was going to meet, and the amount of money that I was going to spend. So those things right there alone will tell you that it is a journey, indeed. So we are now in, looks like that final window for our final green flag pit stops. That 9 car is already going to go down on pit road. Looks like we're going to be coming with some of 50 to go.
Yeah, it does look like that is the case here. Final stretch.
Jason, wrecking on the back stretch.
Oh, caution might come out from this. Oh, no caution. Caution is out. This is going to change everything.
9 car coming right off of pit road, and what always happens right here is Charlotte, you got to ride it below that blue line. He comes up on that blue line just a little bit, and she rotates on him, and then he finds himself running into that wall. Just
oh my word! And that is, we saw someone else have that issue earlier.
Yeah, the fortunate thing for him is he actually hit the wall after, he was out of the pit zone, so he's not going to get a black flag for that. But
I think that was Justin Levine.
In the 9 car?
No, I'm saying Justin Levine earlier had a similar issue when he was coming off of pit road.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, because that's what happens. That pit road, exiting the pit road at Charlotte, that's one of the first things I think that you learn in this sim, because it's a tricky one. Now, that's just going to change the entire scenario for this race now, because there's not going to be any green flag pit stops. The only car that needed to complete a green flag pit stop actually wrecked exiting pit road. So that means everyone gets to come down pit road. If he has a fast repair left, he'll get to click that fast repair. And, gentlemen, we're going to have ourselves a dash for the cash.
We really are. I mean, Dylan Auk could take it all. Could he challenge Malik Ray here? Now, he's going to be right there on him. But I think with that, let's take a quick step away, guys.
Looks like we had an abbreviated race off of pit road, but that 4-0 car, Brian, is going to take the lead there. Not being shown officially yet, but I think he was in front of the 7 when they exited pit road. So that's going to be interesting. And also to note that, does the leader get to pick his position on the restart?
Well, I think that Malik Ray might have purposely let Dylan do that because he wants the high line. Now, if Dylan takes the high line, then Malik's stuck on the low line. The high line here, in my opinion, is the preferred line to be on a restart.
Well, this is also going to be interesting because not only are we getting ready to restart this race, but we're restarting this race on a cold track with cold tires. So that's something these guys have not yet experienced here tonight. So they're getting ready to get a full run on it. And are you rolling off in second gear? Are you rolling off in third gear? Are you going to punch this thing? You got to get a clean launch too, because if you don't, Al, then tell us some of the things that we can look to see on the restart here.
I imagine they're going to be real smooth. There's not going to be a knee jerk and slam the gas to the floor restart because, again, like you mentioned, you could stand a chance of getting loose. They're going to be smooth, and these are rolling starts, so they should be not spinning out. I don't imagine that. But again, I can't reiterate enough. We have not been on this track with this car. I don't know what to expect at this point in the race.
That's a lot of horsepower coming off of these cars here on the end of this thing. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it works. Additionally, I think do you take the full bag of gas on this, or do you put enough in just for the remainder of the race?
Oh, I'm getting a full tank. I don't want to be light rear-ended running around this track, so I'm dumping it all the fuel in it'll take.
That's an interesting call there, Al Kozlowski. I'm curious. I mean, how I had to step away for just a moment there. We saw Dylan Alt take the lead on pit road. This is going to be an interesting development. It could be the thing that happens that wins him the race. I mean, imagine that going from $75 to $200.
Yeah, what is he going to pick, the high line or the low line? I mean, these guys, there's a $125 difference between first and second, so they're going to be battling. The race is going to be for first and second up here. Now, let's use hypotheticals here. If Malik and Dylan wreck, then we have got Jason, Robert Pattengale, and Bill Muffield that could end up getting that purse. I mean, this is where all the eggs are in the baskets here.
Oh yeah.
Let's see how professional these Coke Series drivers are with each other.
It's heating up. I mean, we've heard a lot of I think a lot of the Coke Series drivers, not to say that they necessarily are super aggressive and they kind of flirt with, I'd say, controversy in a lot of ways. I mean, we're going to really see them try to work for this money. I mean, they're going to work for this money right now.
And the biggest thing is too, though, is how many of these guys have used their fast repairs. Do you actually hold on to that thing with a beat up car? Because under the pretense that if you do get wrecked here, yeah, you got a chance to reset and you're still in it. Because look, there's only 4 cars out there, right? So you're not out of this thing yet, if you think about it. So so that's another thing to ponder.
Well, I'll show you, and I just realized this and didn't even think about it. We're looking at a bare naked number 40 and a bare naked number 7 car. They have got no sponsors whatsoever on those cars, and it's probably because the sponsors they have in a Coke Series, if they run it in here, they've got to mind their P's and Q's. So they got naked cars. They can do whatever they want.
See, that's one thing that was kind of interesting for me earlier. Looking at the stream here in my actual race here, I do see Malik Ray has Coca-Cola on his machine, or I'm sorry, Dylan Alt has Burger King and Coca-Cola on that machine. So I don't know, maybe it's something to do with the broadcast. I don't know what's going on here, but
yeah, I didn't start by trading paints. I believe is my problem.
Yeah, mine's on, and I just see a black number 40
maybe that's
car
just me that sees him with the paint schemes here. But of course, Dylan Alt, the green flag is back out. Of course, he is pulling away here. And one thing we were talking about, what are these guys want to do to win this race? If these guys get, racing each other hard and heavy, they have been racing for almost 400, or over 400 miles. What are they willing? They're going to be emotionally drained, physically drained, mentally drained, whatever you want to call it. They're probably not in the right headspace here. What are they going to be willing to do when they're, maybe under all this pressure?
But let's look at this too, because the one time that 4-0 car was the fastest was when he was out front. And initially on in that first stage of the race, he not only led this thing, but he really dominated it. And it wasn't until Malik took the lead off of pit road that he actually stayed in the lead. So what we have found is, we've just seen this, that the guy that's in the lead of this thing has the best position.
I'm going to interject on that one and say if you watch Malik, he is staying right on his tail. He's getting the gravitational pull, if you will, from Dylan, and he's probably going to get up there enough to battle with him. So I think right now he's not going to want to take the lead. He's going to wait it out, stay within 0.2 or 0.3 of a second, and then about 10 to go, he'll put his move on there.
Yeah, whether that involves contact or not.
Yeah, but you're going to have to practice that at some point because you don't want to wait to 10 to go and then realize that you can't catch the guy. You know, so you got to pull up on him right now. And you're right. The best position right now on the racetrack is the position that number 7 car has, because he's just able to put as much pressure as he wants onto Dylan. So Dylan has got that 7 car, that big red bumper right there in his rearview mirror. And the 7 car, you know, like you said, he's just riding along behind. But at some point, though, he's going to have to, because we have not seen a successful pass for the lead here tonight.
We haven't really. You're 100% right. And the thing is also to keep in mind, Malik, he led a ton of laps here tonight, and now that he has gotten used to running in that dirty air. Now he's in the clean, the dirty air again, or he gotten used to running in the clean air. Now he's in the dirty air again. Has he gotten too used to running in the clean air?
Malik's playing cat and mouse with Dylan right now. I'm sure Dylan right now is driving out of his rearview mirror because he's thinking about not only the bragging rights, but that $200. And Malik is probably playing it safe right now, just kind of, tantalizing him, if you will, teasing him a little bit, letting him know, hey, I'm here. And all it takes for you rearview mirror drivers to do is make a mistake and hit that wall, and it's done.
Now, who knew we were actually going to have a caution? I mean, I thought we were going to go green to the end, fellas. I mean, didn't you?
Yeah, but, we did discuss that. The best opportunity for us to have a caution is going to be during those green flag pit stops. And guess what happened? Driver coming off of pit road did everything right, loses control of his car, takes himself, almost out of the money, and just makes it a little bit more challenging for everybody else.
And what a race we've had so far. I mean, man, can't believe that we're that close to the end here to see Dylan Alt. That kind of development. Definitely, I feel like it injected a lot of excitement to us, fellas.
Well, yeah, it really did, because we had gotten down to a point where, the race had really kind of trailed off, but now, our race is between the 2 cars that are featured on your screen. There are 2 cars on the lead lap. Both of these drivers are established drivers in the Coca-Cola Series of racing and iRacing, and here we are with these 2 drivers battling it out, not just for bragging rights, but for money. So for those of you for just joining us, you tuned in at precisely the right time. This field started off with some 16 cars and having our first caution coming very early on, but we've managed to run the majority of this thing under green flag conditions, and it has been nothing short of exciting. My colleagues up in the booth with me right now have Al Koslowski and Brian Britt, and guys, this has been nothing short of an exciting race here for the iRacing Stock Car Association 600. Am I not correct?
No, you're definitely correct. And you mentioned that we have these professionals out here in the front right now. Of course, we had, guys who are maybe not professional starting out this race, and definitely seen Robert Pattengale come up through the field and be in 4th place. Bill Mulfield finishing in right now in 5th place. But one thing about it, even though these guys are professionals, we talked about it before. These guys are being pushed to the limit right now. This is not their average Coke Series race. This is a race where they're going to be challenged physically and mentally.
Yeah.
Well, Brian, I know, and I've argued this before, iRacing has gave a label to a few drivers in this field as professional. You can't take away the fact Robert Pattengale, Bill Mofield, Robbie Lyons, all these other drivers, they may not be labeled by iRacing as professional, but to somebody who's got a lower I rating than they do, or doesn't have the skill set that they do, they're professionals. I mean, these guys, just because iRacing gave them a label, doesn't make they're any less of a good driver than the rest of these guys.
Oh, I agree with you wholeheartedly, and that's why people ask me, well, what is it that you do? And I tell people, I am an online professional cartoon race car driver, and that's all I am. Nobody can argue with me.
I won't argue with you, Al.
Malik is, I would hate to be Dylan right about now, because Dylan has got not only to maneuver this car around the track, but he has just got one eye in the rearview mirror and one eye on the track, and it's really, he's cross-eyed right now. And he's working harder than Malik Ray is right now, I guarantee you.
Yeah, absolutely. But the one thing that I will say, Dylan ran a lot of laps up front when we initially started this thing, and Malik was actually, he made that pass on pit road. So no one has actually been able to pass that 4-0 car once he's been in the lead. So if Malik's going to do that, all I'm encouraging him to do is not wait until it's too late.
Yeah, it seems like I don't know if it could be too late, but I mean, I get exactly what Mr. Kozlowski is saying, though. Just considering, if he's focused on that relative, if you focused on that rearview mirror, that's going to present an opportunity for him to, make a mistake.
Yeah, absolutely. And generally, you want to just kind of get up on that guy a lot closer, because the closer you are to him, the more you're going to make him feel that pressure, and it's going to cause him to be driving that car with the rearview mirror. And, because right now your spotter's not really saying anything. So you're sitting there, you're not having anything to pace yourself on, but the only thing you really have is looking at how far is he behind me. So, yeah, you're absolutely correct. Both of you, that is the position. But I think Malik's going to have to close that gap a little bit more to put more pressure on that 4-0 car, because right now he's just able to just sit up there too comfortable at this point.
Well, 2 tenths in your rearview mirror feels like they're right on your bumper. I mean,
especially, yeah, you're right.
He's feeling the pressure right now. And I think what Malik is trying to do at this point is just hold a consistent distance from him, not push up too much, just in case Dylan makes a mistake and clips the wall. He wants to have room to maneuver. I mean, if you're right on top of him and he clips the wall, it's going to take both of you out.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you definitely just want to kind of hang back, wait for Dylan to make a mistake here. But is it going to come? I mean, we'll have to wait and see. I mean, these guys are still going to be on older tires by the end of this event here.
Yeah, you'll see it. It's going to be about 10 to go, and we'll see a whole different picture than we see right now. Malik will start to get a little bit more aggressive. Right now, he's trying to keep his tires as cool as he can and hope that Dylan in front of him is not being smooth and steady at the wheel and using his tires up.
I want to give a big shout out. We definitely have a great race going on here tonight, Sunday night. Not a usual time for ISCA to be racing. We definitely glad we were able to do it and witness this here. But if you want to see some more great racing, make sure you tune in on Thursday night, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and also Saturday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I mean, we have some great racing to behold there also, don't we, Mr. Kozlowski?
Oh, those are the 2 nights I do my best wrecking.
But definitely some great racing. We see a lot of talent drive. Of course, they're not a lot, or not as long as this. Of course, usually we have, at a mile and a half like this, we probably have 134 laps or something like that. A 200-mile race, not a 600. I mean, that is literally, triple what we would see.
Yeah, if we have drivers watching this race at all, and they don't have a race to run on a Thursday or a Saturday, I strongly encourage you to join the ISCA. We have a bunch of guys. It's not like an A-open race where you wreck all the time. And we ran at Kansas yesterday and had 1 caution. And it was 147 laps? 1 caution?
134, I do believe.
Okay, 134. 1 caution. You get into an A-open, there's 17 cautions by that time, There's a bunch of professional drivers that run that ISCA. And I use that word professional again because these guys know what they're doing. I mean, I'm going to label them. They're pretty damn good in my book.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they might not have pro world class, but I mean, they're still very quick. I mean, definitely 100%. I mean, even if we saw, these guys that are here right now, come into this league and fight with those guys, I think they still would have, somewhat of a, challenge ahead of them. Just considering, I mean, you got the likes of, Clayton Hoffman, people like that, Chris Severa, Brandon Pasalacqua, who won on Thursday, not those guys are not they're not easy guys to try to race around. I mean, you're gonna have a challenge.
Well, and I think we heard on the broadcast maybe yesterday or Thursday, I don't know which one it was, one of the drivers that came in first, second, or third, I can't remember what it was, but he had expressed that just being around the other drivers at ISCA has made him so much better driver.
And I almost feel like there's evidence of that when it comes to a guy like Robert Pattengale.
It's so much easier to learn when you're not, going under cautions every 10 laps, race after race. And that's what they just proved tonight. These guys had to learn this track throughout this whole night. They made it look like they've been doing it 150, 200 times. But guys, this is the first time the majority of this field has been on this track with this car. I can't stress that enough. This is amazingly, to me, how they've been able to handle it. I played hell with it.
Yeah, I know. I even talked to you a little bit during the week. You were kind of, in qualifying, really working on it, trying to figure out what the best settings were for your offset, your steering ratio, and, you're just having a time. I mean, definitely was not an easy task.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't have, and I found out late in this race just by watching some of the guys here that they're clutching it. I would have never imagined that they were clutching it because we didn't have to do that with the other car we had before this, We were able to hold it pretty much to the floor all the time. You ain't doing it. If you hold it to the floor in this car, you're going to be meeting the bottom of the inside wall or the outside wall. One of the two of them, you're going to meet them.
And usually, the fixed setup definitely known for being incredibly hard to drive, especially on the longer run. So seeing a lot of guys, able to rise to that occasion, a lot of times they're known for being a little bit more tight, wouldn't you say?
Well, yeah, this is the only adjustments that we can make to this car in a fixed setup is the size of the steering wheel, where we position that steering wheel back on the shaft, and your brake bias. Now, there's only three things. Now, the only thing that's going to give you a little speed is going to be the brake bias. I mean, the less brake drag you have, the more speed you're going to get out of this thing. Sometimes the different size steering wheels, if you got a smaller steering wheel, obviously, than a larger steering wheel, to catch a twitchy car is going to be harder with a smaller steering wheel than it is a bigger steering wheel. So it depends on your racing style. Me, I'd try to stay away from the bigger steering diameter with this car on this, these tracks because it feels like you're driving an old 62 Studebaker or something around the track,
No, yeah, for sure. It takes longer to steer it, for sure. You want it to be somewhat nimble, but then again, that can lend to more tire wear.
Oh, absolutely. You'll eat up your tires. I just ran a 12-inch, 12-to-1 steering ratio on this, and I know I was eating up my right front really bad. So these guys have it figured out on what's the right package all the way around. And the line is significantly important.
One thing I've always heard a lot of, they say that, these pro guys are only good because of the setup that they're running. I mean, I'm sure you've heard that too before, Al.
Oh, I mean, it's a proven fact. I mean, and I've argued this with my team a lot of times. Dale Jr. wouldn't be anything he is right now if he didn't have a great pit crew and a great engineer putting his car together. I mean, let's just go use this example. Kyle Larson, before he said a couple explicit words on the iRacing series here, he was with a different team and didn't look that good. I mean, he comes back up, he gets under a Hendrick count, and he wins a championship the first year out.
Yeah, but I mean, my point really wasn't to say that. I was just saying, looking at these guys, they might have the greatest setups underneath them, but that's not the case tonight.
No, you got to have the driving ability as well. But, I mean, it's a good portion of your setup. And I'm sure they've got this car set up just right, like I just mentioned, about what you could tweak with your setups. I think they've got that figured out. And it's nothing that they're going to share with anybody. So you're just going to have to, trial and tribulations, I guess it is. That's why I spent 4 or 5 days this week trying to find that right package. I couldn't find it.
Yeah, still not a lot that you really can change, though, on these cars. I mean, pretty much steering ratio and, the steering offset. That's about it, isn't it?
Yeah, the brake bias, steering offset, steering ratio, and of course, the track itself, what line you're going to run. Obviously, you've seen tonight, these guys are clutching. Some guys are clutching a lot. That kind of helps their steering. We can't see if they're braking, but I'm sure there's a little bit of dragging a brake going on here that we're not seeing. All these things take into play. So, but the fixed setup, it kind of evens the playing field. So these guys figured it out.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I have no doubts that even if these guys had open setups, they still would be doing well. But then again, I don't know though, considering, think about it. I mean, you mentioned it before. This is the first time we've seen these next gens at Charlotte, right? Do they have that setup in the bank, or have the time to work on it for this race?
Oh, they definitely probably do. They probably get setups planned out 2 or 3 races ahead, and they're already practicing. But nonetheless, they would, if this was an open setup, they'd be making in race changes. There's some adjustments you can make in the race to kind of help that car maneuver better. We can't even play with the tire pressures here. I mean, if I was able to play with the tire pressures, it'd have made it a whole lot funner, but you can't do it. Malik Ray just bobbed a little bit. I think he's having problems.
Seems like he is. I mean, like I mentioned before, he led a lot of this race and now has been running into dirty air. I think that has been the problem here. I mean, even Big Al mentioned it earlier about Dylan Alt. Just seems like he's just so much stronger in the clean air. But then also he has gotten used to the dirty air too. And, the race has definitely been heating up because of it. Dylan Alt able to pull away somewhat here as now we're about to have 9 laps to go, fellas.
Yeah, it's this go time for Malik, and I think it's go time too late. Let's see. There's a lap car coming up here. This could be a huge factor right here.
Robert Pattengale is that lap car. He is the 4th place driver right now. Of course, Jason Maines is also, he is the 3rd place driver, 2 laps down. And soon to have 8 laps to go is Malik Ray running out of time.
Yeah, unless Dylan Alt, this is Dylan's race to lose right here. Unless he doesn't get around Robert Pattengale cleanly, he's got this win in the. Oh, look, Robert Pattengale pulls down. That's courtesy. That's a ISCA weekly driver right there. That's a courtesy driver. He gets out of his way.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, he just gets out of his way. He doesn't want no part of being the reason why, Malik didn't win or Dylan didn't win or whatever.
No, you're right. And one thing I've heard Robert Pattengale referred to as like a casual driver, but I think that he's been showing a lot of pace that I think he's like kind of gotten out of that title.
Oh, Robert Pattengale is a sleeper. He's one of those you think you're going to beat him, and then you get on that track and you turn left and you look in your right through your right side window, and Robert's sitting right there with you. He's a sleeper. You never can count him out.
Especially now. I feel like he's got so much seat time in this next gen. That's something I've seen a lot of, with the transition to the next gen in a lot of leagues that I've commentated for. You see a lot of that. Guys getting, they're better in this car for some reason.
Well, and I've argued this fact with my G&G co-mates here. This next gen car, I told them that the rookies that you don't think are very good are going to come out of the woodwork and be phenomenal. And what have you seen this year? A lot of these new guys come into the series here, and they're running over these veterans because they don't have a memory muscle built up from last year's car. They don't know, So.
No, you're exactly right. It's almost like what was it? The whole if your glass is too full, you can't accept new knowledge.
Exactly. Yeah. So. Well, we've got 5 laps to go, and we're going to call this race. And right now, it looks like Dylan Alt is running away with it because the gap between him and Malik Ray has grown to almost 3/4 of a second.
Yeah, what a race here from Dylan Alt. Led the early stages of this event, as me and Big Al were able to spectate on that and see that, of course. But he has been taking care of business here in the later stages. And this is when you want to win the race. This is usually in ISCA we see stage racing. Stage points matter. Stage points don't matter at all here tonight.
No, it absolutely doesn't. What mattered here tonight was that caution that Malik Ray did not need to see. He was seven seconds in front of Dylan Alt and was probably on Amazon looking to spend that $200.
He definitely probably was.
We've got this should be the white flag coming. Oh, look at Malik Ray catches the wall, and he's going to spin
Oh,
it
no.
into the wall.
Caution might come out from this.
That's a game changer.
Oh, no caution. Green flag still out in the air.
Why is there no caution?
I do believe he was able to keep rolling before a car caught him.
He's back on race speed.
Oh, my word. What a event here to see Dylan Alt going to be taking the white flag. Heavy damage on Malik Ray right now.
Oh, that's insult to injury right there. His airbags went off in that car.
Unfortunate. You see such heavy damage on that race car. Led a ton of this race. I do believe he's still going to have the ability, though, to be able to take home second place. Of course, Dylan Alt right now taking a final lap here. Going to be crossing the line as your victor for the iRacing Stock Car Association 600 miles, and Dylan Alt conquers it all.
Yeah, Dylan Alt did. He was there at the end.
Well, while we wait for everybody to get settled here, let's take a quick run down through the final running order here. Dylan Alt going to take home the win. Malik Ray going to finish in second place. Jason Maines in third place. Robert Pattengale fourth. Bill Molefield in fifth place. Garrett Maines in sixth place. Al Kozlowski seventh place. Robert Lyons in eighth place. Big Al, you want to take the rest?
Yeah, that's going to put Dale Brooks in that ninth place with Travis Rogers in 10th place. Chris Tate is going to be in 12th place with Justin Levine. Brooks Durning, Gary Adamson, Noah Bitts, and Sean Conklin rounding out this 16-car field. As we have got this one in the books, so let's go ahead and take a break and get a word from our sponsors, and we'll be back with you momentarily.
There are moments that surprise and delight the mind and the senses. Introducing Sound Art, the world's first truly customizable, concealed, flat panel art speaker system. A revolutionary combination of incredible sound delivered from your most meaningful pictures. When art and technology intersect, there is a seamless blend of creativity and function.
I'm alive in the streetlight, falling at the stars in the moonlight. Every time I feel you close.
With Sound Art, anyone can print their own artwork or pick from numerous licensed artwork that we have. The possibilities are limitless. Enjoy beautiful and amazing sound throughout your home. The entire surface of your artwork generates incredibly robust sound. Your art never sounded so good.
We are back, and it looks like we have everybody all sorted here to get the post-race show underway. What a race it was. Dylan Alt going to be taking home the win here. Of course, we'll talk to Jason Maines first, our third-place finisher. Jason, you're in the money, $25 richer here tonight. Of course, you spent $15 to get into this event. You got to be feeling proud, though. I mean, you're able to, lock home third, considering the amount of talent we had here tonight.
Yeah, actually, the lack of talent for me. Sat there and screwed up coming out of the pits, and I apologize to Malik. I know I cost him the win there. Just hit the bump coming off of pit road, and it just literally got me loose, and I thought I'd saved it, but then all of a sudden it just caught hooked to the right. So I apologize to him. Congrats to Dylan. But, yeah, that was a brutal long race. That's the first time I run the next gen here, and it was a learning experience.
Yeah, I think a lot of people had that, that kind of feeling there. It was a first time here at Charlotte in this next-gen car. Of course, the fix, setup. I mean, did you spend most of the race probably experimenting, trying to figure out what worked?
Yeah, I mean that was the whole thing. Like I said, this is the first time I've run next gen. I haven't done a lot of racing lately at all, anyway. But just getting the feel of the car, overdriving it. I was trying to learn from Malik and the line he was running, which did help. But he's just insanely fast here. I don't know if he got dirty air at the end and couldn't make it, but yeah, I mean it's if you run hard early, you pay late. I just couldn't run their pace early, and then once I'm just not fast enough on pit road, so that lost a lot of time there. But coming off of pit road, there's a huge bump, and you hit it. It just, if you got wheel in the car, which I did, it just yawed it out like it's almost uncontrollable. And these next gen cars, when they hook, when they catch, it's to the right. And I was glad I didn't take anybody else out when that happened. But yeah, just unfortunate.
Yeah, I think we even saw something similar happen there with Justin Levine earlier in the race. Coming off of pit road, you have that kind of pressure, uh, to try to make something happen there. I mean, you want to get off of pit road as quick as you can to maximize, your time because green flag pit stops are so important. And I think that's probably what we saw there for you. But I mean, you still managed to grab a third place finish. Of course, unfortunately, Garrett Main's not able to. Finishing. How was it to race with your son on the racetrack?
Well, actually, that's the only reason I got back into sim racing was to race with him. Almost broke my neck in real life racing, and that's when he kind of took over that realm. And it's taken me about a year and a half to get to this, but with my work schedule, like anything else, the more time you put into something, the better you'll be. And when I was racing all the time, I was steadily gaining, and then when it gets to I'm in HVAC industry, so once it gets hot, it's hard for me to spend time on here, and it's mistakes happen. And like I said, I made one tonight on that. So.
Well, you definitely still took home a third place finish in the money here. Who can we shout out tonight after your third place finish?
Well, I got to thank our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. That's why we're here. Everything we do is for Him. I want to appreciate you guys putting on the show and Kenny for putting it up. I got to thank Elliott Satellite Esports, Into the Apex, Lennox Industries, Bradley Mechanical, and like I said, thank our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. I apologize to Malik one more time.
Well, we definitely appreciate your time, Jason, and appreciate definitely the time you spent out here on the racetrack. I mean, it took a lot to even tackle something like this. I mean, 600 miles, not an easy feat. We appreciate your time, man.
I appreciate yours. Yeah, I think I just had another birthday.
Well, we are waiting in the wings. Yeah, I do believe Big Al is going to have Malik Ray waiting here to talk.
Sounds good, bud. Thank you.
Mr. Ray, this is Big Al up in the booth. You got me?
Yeah, man. How you doing?
Hey, probably a little bit better than you. What a day for you here. First off, I just want to say congratulations to you on a well fought, hard won second place position, second finish.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Yeah, you were definitely the car to beat. It seemed like you were lightning fast, but that first caution came out and actually you were actually able the first car to catch up and you got the position coming off of pit road and then you got out front. That's when you were the car to beat, but that late race caution actually pretty much cost you the race. So what do you think about that one?
No comment. I don't have anything nice to say, so.
Yeah, sorry about that, but yeah, definitely 600 miles here, long race. Appreciate you actually giving the time up. Sorry you didn't have a better finish on that one. Anything else you want to say about it before?
I appreciate Kenny for the whole the event and whatnot, and congrats to the first place winner, Dylan.
Thank you.
Roger, sir. Thank you very much for your time, and sorry about those events. I'll turn it back over to you, man.
All right, we have our first place finisher, Dylan, all able to win the race off of pit road there, man. You were fast all night, and we saw you in the early portions of this race, able to, really drive away. Do you feel like that lent to your ability in the later portions of this race, or did the track conditions really change it a lot?
I think it's just if you're out in clean air, then you can just stay in clean air the entire time. So Malik couldn't pass me at all just because of the dirty air and stuff. But yeah, I had nothing for Malik. Malik was insane the entire race. I was a second place car, but it sucks. I didn't want to win like this, but yeah.
We got to feel pretty good about it. You know, come home $200 richer. I mean, and able to, tell us a little bit about though, how as the race progressed, how did the conditions change? The car and the challenges.
Honestly, I didn't really find that much of a difference on how the car drove. It was just the lap times were faster. I don't like this track at all. I have not figured it out because Malik still pulled like 8 seconds just on pace. So, yeah, that's it, I guess. I don't know what to say.
Nah, but that's okay, man. I mean, you still were able to tackle all 600 miles. I'm sure a lot of you guys are probably emotionally drained, mentally drained, physically drained, covered in sweat probably. But we definitely appreciate your time, stepping up here into the booth to talk with us. And, who can we shout out tonight for you?
I'd like to thank Coca-Cola, Burger King, Steve Letarte, Lowline Racing, Ryan White for helping me in this race, and my parents also.
Well, we definitely appreciate you, Dylan, and congratulations on your win. And how are you going to celebrate this one? Probably by laying down.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a nap.
Heard that. Well, we definitely appreciate you, man, once again, and appreciate everybody out there tuning in. What a race we had here tonight. Make sure you tune in on Thursday to watch us when we tackle Texas for the All-Star race, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Butt Kicker Cup Series. Appreciate everybody out there tuning in, and hopefully everybody enjoyed it.
Hey, Brian. Brian, this is Al Kozlowski. I'd like to give the mic back to Malik right quick. He didn't give any shout-outs to any sponsors or anybody he wanted to thank right quick.
That's a good point, yeah.
It would just be Signal and Dead Zone and Sim Seats. I appreciate all three of those guys.
All right, brother. Congratulations on that second place finish, man. I'm sorry it ended like that, but it was a good fought race.
Thank you.
All right. With that, I do believe we will conclude tonight's broadcast for the ISCA 600. Appreciate everybody out there that tuned in and competed here tonight to undertake this Mount Everest of a challenge here. Definitely, like I said before, tune in with us on Thursdays and Saturdays, and we look forward to seeing you on the racetrack.